Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Void Group Final. It's a best of 5 tonight between Team Black Blossom and the TGrefugees. Should be a good one for the title of Void Group Champion, the best of the worst. This is the bottom-ranked group here in Style Esports. Not to flame anybody too much, should be a good one nonetheless. Black Blossom looking for that undefeated season here, Style Esports Season 3. Bringing you the action this evening, I am Jarl Carl, and I am alongside Merlin for the evening.
Thank you, Carl. This should be a fun game. I actually cast the TGR semifinals, and I thought that their macro for a gold-silver team was super sharp. They had some nice rotations, particularly after taking first Drake. They like to shift their bot lane up to top side to put pressure for the Herald, and they really play through that bot lane. So they're looking to get that ADC ahead. So far, looking at the draft, we have support bans coming out on the part of TGR targeting the Black Blossom support, and an interesting first 3 pick with Ornn providing a super tank up top, Nocturne, and Galio for that backline dive. I do like the Galio pick, got a good win rate in solo queue right now, but he does need somebody to go in deep so that he can split the team apart. If you're just kind of picking off the straggler and he's getting out to his team, it's not really an effective ult. So I really like it paired with the Nocturne. I think that's got some potential. What do you think so far?
I think that is one of the better combos. The Nocturne with Galio, it's kind of reminiscent of the Jarvan Galio combo, just a little bit stronger. You can go straight onto the back line. I think it could have been cool if they had a Shen in the top lane instead of Ornn. That could have been the real Wombo combo. Would have felt really bad for Krios Vale in this game if that were the case, but not to be in this one. The good old Ornn in the top lane for them this time. I like the Ezreal as well. I think overall a very strong team comp. Nocturne is something I've seen a little bit more as of late in the jungle, just as a high damage, hard engaged jungler, especially with the kind of re-emergence of Galio in the mid lane. Seen that a little bit more as well. It's a nice combo, and Nocturne has been getting off to some nice leads. Also received some buffs, I do believe, in the last patch, so a little bit stronger in the jungle. Clear now as well. I think this is a very good team, for TGrefugees. Ezreal and Nautilus in the bot lane, one of the stronger bot lanes you can have right now. Misfortune Thresh needs a little bit more to kind of get enabled. Misfortune needs to get a couple of kills. She doesn't scale quite as hard, just naturally, like Ezreal does with that Manamune build. So overall, a strong team comp for TGrefugees. I'm a little bit unsure about this Gangplank Nunu combo. Mid jungle, we saw Nunu a little bit underwhelming yesterday in the series that we broadcast. So hoping Undertaker Kid can perform a little bit better in this game. And the Gangplank mid is something I don't see all that often, I should say.
I agree. The GP mid is definitely not meta, but it's kind of a strange lane. You're looking at Galio, so if you can take an AD champ mid against Galio, it's better because his passive MR shield doesn't really come into play as much. Nunu did receive on the last patch some buffs, so it's possible that he might be doing some damage as an AP Nunu.
That is true. We could see some AP Nunu. That could be fun. Not fun to play against by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think we'll see that come through this game. TBB does need a little bit of a front line. They don't have really a dedicated tank, so I think Undertaker Kid is going to have to fill that role. Also, against a reasonably tanky team, right? Galio, Ornn, Nautilus, even Nocturne with a spell shield can block a lot of damage from that kind of a Nunu, so I would expect him to go tank, although you never know. It's probably more fun to go AP as well. I'm not a fanboy myself, but it sounds like it would be more fun, so we might see Undertaker Kid. Hey, it's a best of 5, right? It's only game number 1. He's going to try to just kind of flip the script on him and go for that AP build, so we'll see what the situation is on that. I do like the point about Gangplank, that AD mid laner into Galio. Galio, of course, is that anti-mage, so Gangplank, I think, should be pretty safe in the mid lane. Can cleanse the taunt with the oranges immediately if he does get taunted up, so should be reasonably safe from ganks. The same being true about that fear from Nocturne, so should be a decently safe lane for somebody that doesn't have a dash, right? Mordekaiser, also pretty tanky in the top lane, so the ganks, I think, reasonably difficult for Piano Man, especially pre-6. The Thresh with the Lantern to get Misfortune out. Gangplank just kind of walks off, and you guys could just have a snowball coming into the counter gank from Undertaker Kid.
Yeah, I think so. I do have one concern about that TGR team. I mean, I talked earlier about how they run through their ADC. They do not have a lot of damage. You're looking at Ornn, top. Nocturne's bursty, but he doesn't have a lot of sustained damage most of the time because he's kind of squishy, and once he dives that backline, he's usually out. And Galio is, typically built with AP, but doesn't have nearly as much as a more conventional control mage like a Syndra or a LeBlanc or something along those lines. So it's really going to be a kind of protect the ADC while they dive the back line. I don't hate it, but there is going to be some pressure on Sam Spuds to kind of get the job done. Back looking at Team Black Blossom, Misfortune obviously has an incredible zoning and powerful ult that can really change team fights. But I worry that things are going to be kind of on top of her and she's not going to get the time and space. She really does not have a huge front line. I mean, Nunu can stand in front and tank, but he's not really going to CC as hard as the Ornn. And he can't absorb as much damage as some other junglers. I feel like a Sejuani might be able to kind of do a better job frontlining than a Nunu. So we'll have to see. He does have extraordinary ganks though, so if you overstep and he can kind of speed in with a snowball, he can sometimes really enable the thresh hook or kind of follow up CC.
Yeah, Nunu can be quite scary on the gank. The snowball can be amazingly hard to get away from sometimes. So look out for that in the early game, especially if he goes Predator. That could be very fun as well. Sam Spuds, like you just said, going to need to pump out a lot of damage in this game. His team very much reliant on him. It's kind of a protect the AD carry comp without the shielding. They're mostly trying to dive and just kind of leave him in the back. So we'll see what they decide to go with. We're going to take a break as we load into game number 1. Don't go anywhere. We will be back with that first game in just a couple of minutes. Welcome to Summoner's Rift, everybody, for game number 1 here between Team Black Blossom on the red side and TGrefugees on the blue. Might see some level 1 engages. We got double hook champions, so gonna keep this short. I'm Jarl Carl alongside Merlin. iTunes checking into that bush.
I do think that more teams at almost all elos should try and take advantage of the level 1 when they've got a hook champ like Thresh or Nautilus. It doesn't necessarily have to be the traditional invade where you know they're going to be. I have seen like very effective invades kind of coming through top lane and then bending into the tri-bush on to red side. You can sometimes catch top laners sleeping. And I just feel like an early blown flash can be so valuable. So I know we don't see it often. It's a 5-point stance, uber safe start, but I do think that there are opportunities. And if you're, watching and playing, work on it with your team, try and get some different invades down and see what you can learn, see what advantages you can gain.
You can also just get a lot of vision down, right? And that can be really important as well. Get a ward on the Raptors around where iTunes was just standing can be important. Just track the enemy jungler, and that can give so much more freedom to your lanes, right? They're not always constantly worried about where the jungler might be, especially against something like a Nunu, right? Where you just need to track him so much. So that information can help quite a lot. And it doesn't take that much effort. It's not very risky either. If you walk in with all 5 people, like, it's pretty unlikely you're going to lose a fight to the 2 people that are standing, somewhat trying to guard the red buff. They're just going to back away. You get the ward down, and you're good. They might know where the ward is, but that doesn't, you can try to avoid it, but if the ward's right on the Raptors, you got to do the Raptors at some point, right? So definitely can still give a lot of vision and be quite important as some trading going on in the mid lane. Pretty early, iTunes keeping himself safe with that corrupting potion, throwing in those pistol shots onto Sushi in the mid.
Yeah, I think Galio against most champions does have the push and will have the early advantage in terms of levels and priority. Could be interesting. It looks like Nocturne and Nunu are both doing full clears on the bot side, which means they will meet top side for that top scuttle and potentially ganks level 3 for that Horn and Mordekaiser lane. It looks like
bot lane, double hooks coming down. Pinna taken very low. Arcane Shift not going to get any damage down onto Krios Vale, but a lot of auto attacks rolling through for Sam Spuds, bringing the pain onto Krios Vale. The double hook kind of stopped that initiation before it had begun, but still a lot of damage put down, and Undertaker Kid now walking into the bot lane.
Yeah, Nunu got a full clear, so he's level 3 coming in behind the TGR bot lane. Let's see what happens.
Sam Spuds, don't think he has the shift available. Tell a lie, he actually does. The hook and land straight away onto X. Sniffy, he is taken down before he can proc that aftershock. Krios Vale still going in onto Sam Spuds. Not too sure that's the fight he wants to take. Misses that Mystic shot, though, unfortunately. So Sam Spuds has to walk away as support did die. First blood to TBB.
Nice gank by the Nunu. When you're playing against the Nunu, you have to know that he is a gank-oriented champ. He just does not farm, and it looks like he's going again for mid lane. Let's see if he can catch a second.
Gank-oriented champ indeed. Going in with the stun, the knock-up. Sushi gonna flash himself away, but he does get canceled with the E. Undertaker Kid, though, gonna get traded back. A nice taunt under the tower by Sushi. Made Undertaker Kid get stuck for just a little bit too long. Took the extra tower shot. 1 kill traded back, but another successful gank for the Nunu.
Yeah, that's a very nice start for the Nunu. Unfortunate they ended up giving his life for it. Galio did not have a ward down, and that's kind of a critical moment, particularly after you see that gank bot side. You know Nunu's in the river, and you know that he could be coming mid, and you've got a little bit of a push advantage in the mid lane. I really want to see that like bot side of river ward. Now, counterplay, Nocturne is just power farming as much as he can. He skipped over Gromp, but he's done his 5 camps to Nunu's 4 at this point, and he's getting double scuttle, which is worth a lot of gold and a lot of priority. So Nunu does get these ganks and these kills, which are very, very good, but it's not entirely free. He's a level behind Nocturne right now, and once Nocturne hits 6, he's going to get out on the map, and that first gank is always powerful because he could just get in behind the enemy lines with that ultimate. So I think not a bad start by either team. I think they're both kind of executing on their plan. Looks like Nunu's invading a little bit right now, but he's not going to find too much.
Not sure if he's spotted out or if Sushi's just kind of walking in for some vision. This could get very interesting very quickly. Mid laner and jungler both invading the opposite side, so that could get fun. Nice snowball there in the river. We'll see if Undertaker can make the corner. No, he can't. Gonna get spawning up straight away. iTunes now walking in as well. Blastcone is available for Sushi if he wants to get himself out. Double barrel gonna come through, not gonna quite land onto him. TGrefugees just dancing around this one. 1 versus 3 almost, as Sir Donald Trump was walking down from the top lane. Will UI down to provide a little bit of support, as well as Piano Man says, thank you very much for defending my jungle. Coming to clear his camps. Everybody gonna be okay.
Yeah, I really liked Sushi's poise. So I think a lot of time when you're facing 2 in your jungle, there's like an impulse just to kind of blast cone out immediately. But he kind of stuck in there and waited to see what was happening, and he knew his champion limits. he didn't, panic, and he knew that he could kind of stand in given the positioning. So I think that bodes well for TGR. Potentially, he's got some skill on this champ and is kind of ready for this matchup. Just looking at farm across the board, Nocturne's got 15 on Nunu, which is important. Otherwise, it's fairly even. Galio has a small deficit, and Ezreal bot lane, particularly with that bot lane ganks early, also has a little bit of a deficit. Overall, we've got Black Blossom by 1k at the moment.
Yeah, up by a nice 1,000 gold. A very pleasant early game for them, but nothing, obviously not insurmountable. Sam Spud's 2 levels up now, gonna get hooked in the balance. Piano Man is here, disengaged. Ooh, maybe he should have gotten Flayed actually to bait that fight, but Piano Man doesn't know where Undertaker Kid is. Actually, the pings on him, they do tell a lie on that one. He's hanging out. Might get collapsed on the only level 4 to that level 5. We're gonna see a fight coming down in the bot lane. Xnifty gonna go flash forward with the dredge on that. Is going to land. Undertaker Kid taken out of this one immediately. Fina has to flash himself away to safety as well. Kriosville takes the Lantern out. That is 1 kill, and potentially the Dragon going in favor of TGrefugees.
That was a very nice collapse on the jungler. Again, a level down because of all the ganking that Nunu did in the early game, and that kill is actually going to result in first Drake as well, which is a big advantage. Really put Soul on the map kind of earlier. So TGR doing nicely, exploiting the fact that they've got a little bit of a level lead to get a pick on the jungler and then use it to take first Drake. The bot side for Black Blossom recalled right after that pick, and it looks like we're getting caught.
Getting caught out here. There's the Grand End. Hero's Entrance. Not too sure that's the choice I would have made. Sushi now finding himself in a bit of a tight spot. Sir Donald Trump has teleported them as well. Sam Spuds with a nice true shot barrage. Only going to hit a couple of members. And Sushi just throwing away his ultimate and his life. Sam Spuds trying to get himself out as well. Does he have the arcane chip? Yes, he does, but he's still going to get hit by that biggest snowball ever. Flash is available if he does. Needed to get out of this one. 1 versus 4 defending the tower dive. Kriosville going very deep. Might be taken out. Has to burn the summoner heal to keep himself alive. Nice dive defense, but TGrefugees just look very uncoordinated in that play.
Yeah, what happened after that Drake? You pick up Drake and your mid laner's gone mid, and then somehow Xnifty's just stayed in the pit. Was he clearing unimportant wards? I'm not entirely sure what happened, but it's really important to preserve that lead. They lost a lot on the backside of that Drake by getting picked. And then the Galio Hero's Entrance. Galio's dash does go backwards just a little bit, and that is the second time I have seen Sushi use that to try and escape. But if you knock into an opponent champion, it will not get you out. It will not be the exit that you're hoping for. So that's a mechanical thing. I've seen it twice. We'll have to see if it comes up again, but Galio's dash has to be used very, very early before any enemies close in, because once they're close range, you cannot use that to get out. Nocturne is 6, so I'm hopeful that he can use his ult to kind of get in on something right away. You want to use that ult as soon as you can, over and over again. Ornn has been perma-shoved in all game long, done remarkably well with an even farm with the Mordekaiser, but that is one target, as Mordekaiser doesn't have a lot of escapes other than his flash. Otherwise, I think going bot lane onto the Thresh, I think also has some value, and it looks like Sushi's going in mid, but misses his Winds of War.
Might see a double gank. Sushi just taken out straight away. Lights have been turned out on this one. A nice spell shield on the grid. Biggest snowball ever. Piano Man doing very well. Call the Forge God comes through as well. Undertaker Kid taken very low. Just decides he doesn't even need the second reactivation to Call the Forge God. He's going to get the double kill for his jungler. Piano Man there with a good counter gank.
Yes, I really like the plan. I mean, you can call it a counter game, but I think that was the whole plan all along, is they just sent Sushi in and they were like, you've got me behind you. Do what you can, get him low, and we're going to take care of it.
Fight in the bot lane. Sam Spud's taking so much damage. Bullet time comes across. He is gone from this one. Herald being contested as well. Teleport from iTunes coming into this one. Piano Man Will UI 1v2 for the moment. There's the death drum coming through. Sir Donald Trump in there with Will UI. Actually, maybe this is the spectator client is so confusing. Not sure who he's in there with, but the Nocturne is taken out. Will UI might be soon to follow. The mace comes down. Slap in the face. It's a double kill for Sir Donald Trump. 3-0 so far. Sushi having to make a fast escape from the situation. That Herald start, not quite what they were hoping for.
No, not quite. The bot kill was just lane, so there was no jungle help, nothing, no assistance. So it was just a 2v2 straight up kill. A nice exploitation of the fact that Misfortune was 6 and Thresh landing a hook is the end of Ez. Even with his arcane shift, he's not always going to be able to get out, and he wasn't able to get out there. So that meant that they were still 3v3 on the top side, and they started Drake maybe without quite the ward coverage or without knowing exactly where the jungler was. But you really have to make sure that you've got all that in mind when you start neutral objectives like that. The Mordekaiser, 3-0, already got a Haunting Guise, working on a damage on an AP damage-oriented build. Definitely going to be terrifying. And strangely enough, Ornn has started with Bombi Cinder as his first item into a Mordekaiser, and I am not sure I'm a fan of that. Spirit Visage is traditionally what you would look for on an Ornn into an AP mage on the top side, so he is just not going to hold up to a fully completed Leandries on the side of Mordekaiser.
Has the Mercury Treads. So maybe saying that's enough. I don't think it's going to be enough against the 3-0 Mordekaiser, but maybe that's the theory. Blue buff as well is able to sort of another fight in the bot lane. Ability to get by that True Trap Barrage. Oh, Spuds goes in, misses everything, but here is the Nocturne coming in. Lights have been turned up, but a huge bullet time. Pianoman going to get shut down there by Sam. Spuds, second kill picked up in favor of TGR on this one. Undertaker kid chasing forward onto X-Snippy. There's the ultimate, the Hero's entrance coming through. Absolute Zero as well, going to get interrupted. What a great play. Double kill now coming through for Sam Spuds. They are just turning this fight on its head. iTunes now has to get to safety, but he's not going to be able to do so. Pianoman picks up a second in this fight. 4-0 on the bot side in favor of TGR.
Oh, what a fantastic fight by TGR every step of the way. ADC, the duo bot lane that they lost last time, they try and take that fight again. They get pulled, they get hooked, but they fight it out. But this time they've got that Nocturne jungle support. He comes in at just the right time, and the 3v2 gets the 2 kills early. And then the Nunu shows up for the counter gank, but once your laners are dead, you know, cardinal rule of League of Legends, fight when you have numbers up, don't fight when your numbers down. He went in 1v3, and I know the health bars looked low and they looked thin, and he felt like he could get it done, but I feel like best case scenario, he gets one and trades his own life. Maybe there's a chance he can get both Ez and Nautilus, but he ended up getting nothing, and he ended up costing his own life and Gangplank in the mid lane. So 8-8, 1k gold lead. Everything that Black Blossom was able to get done early, I think undone on that play. It is anyone's match tonight, guys.
Red buff now in favor of Sam Spuds as well, making a huge comeback in the bot lane from this lane we saw earlier. Has red buff, has his mana mune completed, going to be doing a lot of work. Herald dropped a little bit early in the mid lane, still going to be one play, so that objective not going to fall just yet. I also want to mention, Team Black Blossom has lost both the fights they've lost in this game right before Dragon comes up. They lost the original Dragon about 6 minutes ago. They lost that fight in the bot lane just as the Dragon came back up. They're now down 2 Dragons to 0. Going to be the Ocean Soul as well, kind of universally seen as the strongest soul for team fighting in the game. So Team Black Blossom, I think, even with the Nunu, they have this jungler that's famed for his objective control, just not able to get that done so far in this game. In terms of the Dragons, it's something they need to watch out for as they go on later in this game.
Absolutely, that Dragon Soul is a huge win condition. And we also have Nocturne up. Ult is up again, and he is 5-1-2. He's going to be able to do a ton of damage. And I hope that he goes bot side and uses it again. That Knot hook and the engages that the Thresh is making make that lane a super favorable lane to try and use your ult to gank. And it looks like he's rotating that way. Team Black Blossom does have good wards in the river, so it's going to be difficult to get in. He just has to stay on his side.
Oh, this has to be the angle. Yeah, there it is. Sorry to cut you off, Merlin, but we're going straight into the fight. Lights have been turned out, and lights have been turned out for Creon's Veil as well. He is out of this one in the death chamber. Sam Spuds on a killing spree as well. You predicted it, Merlin. 2 kills in the bot lane with that Nocturne ult being up. Doing very well, TGR.
Absolutely. I don't know why, but Mordekaiser really has a hard time taking turrets. Like, despite the fact that he has pushed in like every step of the way, that turret is really healthy. If I was TGR, I would be looking for that bot turret right now. You could take the Nocturne. Uh-oh, looks like trouble mid.
TBB looking for Sushi in the mid lane. He is going to find it. iTunes picks up that kill. Mistimed engage there by Sushi going in when the jungler was on the way.
Absolutely, and again, it's a dark map around that mid. We've got some vision towards the bot side because Nocturne and bot are kind of playing on that side, but you've got to shade towards the bot side if you're dark on the top and you don't know where the enemy jungler is. So, you know, simple positioning, if he gets a chance again to kind of keep towards that bot side. We know the game plan. The game plan for TGR is to have Nocturne farm, and every 90 seconds, every 80 seconds, have Nocturne go get a double kill bot lane. Go get a double kill bot lane over and over again. I mean, at this point, Ez is 3-1-3. He's starting to drop some kills to Ez, who's a monster late game scaler on the current patch. So we just need Galio to play with that game plan. That game plan means you do not stand close to top. They're going to leave Ornn on an island, which is fine. He can TP back to lane when he needs to a boost, but they've got to stay with their game plan. Their game plan is, at this point, playing around bot side for sure. Nocturne ult is up again, and he is hovering around bot side, looking in that try, clearing the ward, which is perfect, and it's just going to create so much pressure. On the top side, Ornn stayed really, really low. With TP, I really wish he'd reset.
Yeah, well, he's going to get a free reset as he's just taken out. Under the turret, Sir Donald Trump picking up the kill. Didn't even need the ultimate, just kind of slapped him with the Mace Hunter Tower, and Will You Why goes down.
Yeah, I don't understand. You got TP. TP is made to make unfavorable matchups a little bit more even, because you can just go and refill your health and refill your pots. And we also have a catalyst on the part of Ornn, so this is just a build I'm unfamiliar with. I'm just so used to, if you're going into AD, you build Bomb Cinder, and if you're going into AP, you build Spirit Visage. We do have a Negatron Cloak, so I suppose this is the MR item.
Mask?
Yeah, Abyssal Mask.
Seems like an item.
Yeah,
I mean, it's an item. It seems pretty good. Helps your team do AP damage as well, so... excuse me there. Could be helpful in the late game if Galio's going in. Sniffy even doing magic damage. Sam Spuzz does some as well. Ultimate and the W damage is magic there for Ezreal. So could be useful for his team. Maybe helps him survive in this lane. But Mordekaiser so far has 2 Liandry's Torments.
that is a very strange build.
I do not think that's the limit, but he has left the base. So... Merlin, break this down for me.
That is a misclick, and he meant to build Rylai's, because Rylai's synergizes incredibly well with Liandry's. We will see that sold. And here we go, big fight over the dragon. They really need this.
Into the fight, lights have been turned out, going in onto iTunes. He is forced to get himself away from this. He is not able to do so, however. He's taken out by this Nocturne teleport coming in a little bit late from Mordekaiser. Had to go back to base to fix his item build, but it's already a double kill in favor of TGrefugees. Sir Donald Trump into the death realm with Piano Man. The fear goes off, though. Can Piano Man survive for long enough? The taunts being channeled. If he can get out of this one, he's not going to be able to do so. Shutdown goes over in favor of Mordekaiser now with the direct items. I do believe the fight does continue. That Sir Donald Trump is so strong. Sam Spud very low on the backside. Can he land the 1Q? No. Arcane shift out to get away from Pina. Will the hook land? This is what is riding on this dragon. Is he going to be able to get away? Will the play come through? No, he's just going to get shut down by Krios Vale, who picks up the kill with the auto attack. And Sir Donald Trump having a ton of impact on that fight, even with the wrong items. Comes back into it after that item sell, and he wins the fight.
Yep, it was a beautiful sell. Picking up Rylai's, coming in, smashing a late team fight. So on almost any champ, if you could arrive to a fight late and clean it up, that is ideal. Particularly if you're fed, if you're strong. And he was super strong coming into that at 3-0 with 2 completed items. I don't think there's anyone in the game who had 2 completed items. Possibly the Nocturne with the Stalker's Blade and the Dusk Blade. But that was a really nice team fight. Classic mistake when you go up against Mordekaiser. After he eats someone in the Death Realm, he gains a portion of their stats until they respawn. And a lot of teams want to just fight that Mordekaiser 2v1, 3v1. But you have to carefully gauge your damage and his damage, because he loves to take on that those fights, because he's Conqueror. He's going to be healing the whole time, and he's got his passive shield, or not shield, his passive damage that's going to be healing him, and he's just an AoE champ, so he takes on those 2v2s or 3v3s coming out of the Death Realm really, really well. So hopefully TGR can play around that. At this point, a 7-0 Mordekaiser, they just want to stay away. If he is on that side of the map, they need to not be on that side of the map. It also costs them a Drake, which is going to slow down Soul, but they really need to know how to deal with this Mordekaiser, which is to avoid him at this point.
Yeah, basically no way to kill him. In the Death Realm, Piano Man doesn't really stand a chance just because of those stolen stats, so it kind of seemed like throughout this game the TGrefugees has been the more proactive team. Like, they were getting those ganks, getting Nocturne ahead, and then you look at the gold and they're 5,000 behind. They're down 2 turrets to 0. Their only real saving grace so far statistically is those 2 dragons, so they might be able to parlay into something a little bit more. But, you know, statistically at least right now, they are definitely behind in this game. Another tower goes down, moving on toward 5,500 gold, and it's just kind of one of those weird games where it kind of feels like they're doing stuff the entire time, and you look at the stats, and they're just kind of losing.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to see an engage, but I really wish they just play passive.
Sushi just kind of gets hooked, goes down. Harold into this second tier turret in the bottom, and another hook and land. Oh, it's out of the AD carry too. Sam Spuds can't get himself away. The lights have been turned out to buy a little bit of time. Bullet time comes across just to clear out some minions. Not going to be landing onto the champions on this one. A defense of this tower seems very unlikely for TGrefugees. They're going to be forced to give it up. That's the largest snowball I have ever seen, Merlin, coming in from Undertaker Kid. Going to be turning it around. Sam Spuds able to get around the corner just in the nick of time. Gets himself away, but that's the second tier tower, and the mid laner picked up in favor of PBB as the teleport to the top lane to hold off the Ornn.
Quite frankly, I think they needed to be happy giving up those outers. At this point, what they need to try and do is get work done on the opposite lanes. And Ornn is just such a slow pusher that he wasn't able to quite get that outer turret down, but they're really looking to kind of trade objectives because they can't hold. They can't hold against the Misfortune. And that Thresh, holy cow, Pinna really doing a fantastic job finding the hooks. And here we go with the Mordekaiser.
Can they kill this Mordekaiser? Taken out of this one. Shutdown goes in favor of Sushi. 1,000 gold in his pocket. TGR might look to continue the fight here. Undertaker could be a bit caught out, but it looks like that is going to be the end of the festivities in the jungle. One kill, though. That's a big shutdown for him.
It is a big shutdown, and I wish they'd followed up. I mean, at that point, cardinal rule, fight when your number's up. They have the opportunity to hook onto the Nunu. I know he's tanky. I know it's hard to get him, but just good things happen when you take fights when you're man up. So I wish that right now they tried to get something done. We've got Ornn pushing as fast as he can, which is to say, you know, fairly slug-like, trying to get to that bottom turret, but you really want to, like, convert this. Like, it still looks like Black Blossom's got pressure in all the lanes, and they're down a man. They shouldn't have pressure in all the lanes. Get that Nocturne to just go in wildly on somebody right now while you know that you're man up. This is the opportunity to make a play, and it just doesn't look like they're ready for it or maybe know how to execute on it.
TGR also not only just a man up, they're the man up that's just ruining their dreams so far in this game. Sure, Donald Trump was gone. He was not there. He has most of their kills, you know, half the kills. That's not really a majority, but doing so much work in these team fights for him. Without this Mordekaiser, they're down so much power. You have to go for the engage there, like Merlin was just saying. And I think maybe it just a missed opportunity for TGR, maybe too nervous, just didn't feel like they could win it. But this Mordekaiser's back on the map, and you got to somehow come up with another time you can fight without him there, because in a 5v5 with everyone, you know, in the fight, that's what a 5v5 is. I don't think they can win it against this Mordekaiser. Just is too much damage as Sniffy has to burn his flash to get away from Pinna.
Right. I mean, right now it looks like they're going to get squeezed out of Drake. And I think their best option, rather than taking a bad 4v4, is to just collapse on the GP. You've got Nocturne. If Galio engages on the GP, I think you could probably get that done. What traditionally happens in moments like this is you just like posture around and nothing happens on the part of TGR. But you want to trade objectives, and it's hard when you're kind of pushed out and you don't have vision to kind of get in. And Galio is still pushing topside, and I know he's got his ult, but it does not reach that far. So right now,
yeah, we're just going into this fight. All the forward guy does come across Sir Donald Trump now in the Death Realm with Piano Man, who had to flash over the wall. Not going to have the lights turned out for too much longer there. It does come through, but he's not going to be able to use that until he's out of the Death Realm. We've already seen a kill traded back. Bullet time coming across, doing so much damage. PBB doing great in this one. Didn't even see the ultimate from Sushi into this fight. Was not able to do so. Nice corner job there by Sam Spud to get away from the Nunu. But 3 for 1 in that fight. iTunes did fall, but it's the second dragon of the game in favor of PBB.
Right, and Galio did a nice job, like, wandering over, and then you know, he's wandering back. Still has his ult, still has his TP, still has everything, and you know, he could have taken top turret. He did not need to try and join. And if you're not going to take that, you can probably just hold off.
Yeah, gotta agree with you on that one. Probably could have gotten a little bit more in the top lane than just the loose wage twos in full effect. They're wandering around. Drop Barrage not going to do a whole lot. Sir Donald Trump tanking up this turret for quite a long time. Sam Spuds could look for the shift forward, but he might be shifting to his death. On this one, there is the shift forward. Krios taking a lot of damage very quickly. Mermana has been upgraded for Sam Spuds, so he is actually putting out quite a lot of damage, working toward that death stance as well. About 1,500 short of that one, so going to be a little while on that, but I think that is really the point where you do need to fight. Once you have 3 items on this Ezreal, before you get too much farther behind, I think you just have to pull the trigger and go for a fight to try to get back in this game, maybe around the Baron.
Yeah, I agree. And quite frankly, this is the Ez show. It was the Ez show in Champ Select when they chose Ornn and Galio as their top laner and their mid laner. They're clearly not going for damage in other spots, so they need to just take a fight with their Ez. He's a late game carry. He's getting pretty big and obviously doing a lot of damage. We just need to see it in action. Unfortunately, Ez is a very good kite, stay alive, slow people down, and don't die sort of champ, combined with the rest of TGR, which is like a go all in, no escape combo.
Sniffy just caught out of position, going very low, taken out. Sir Donald Trump picks up that kill, just walking in way too far to try to clear some vision.
Absolutely. I mean, it's late in the game. You got to only clear your vision with your team. At this point, I'd just like it to Black Blossom, push to mid, and then rotate it back to Baron. I mean, you've got 4v5. Mordekaiser's a monster. It's really difficult for TGR to contest. And quite frankly, again, I don't think they should contest. I think if they go in, they lose 3 and the Baron. But right now, they could push mid. They could take a different objective. They could push mid and bot and potentially take 2 turrets. I know it feels like you've just got to go in. You've got to stop. You can't handle it if they have Baron. But Black Blossom don't have a huge siege team. Here we go. The Baron's done.
Merlin is a prophet on this one. Flight has commenced. Light's been turned out. Who's trying to go in for bullet time is going to discourage him as well. Flash absolute 0, and that is exactly how much TGR is going to get done in this team fight. Piano Man trying to get himself out to safety, but he is not long for the rift. Krios Vale now unstoppable. True shot for Raj. It looks like the fact check is false on that, doing damage. Pinna walking in without fear against these Mystic shots. TBB do pick up the fight win and the Baron, then pushing that south.
They only lost 2, though. I thought they'd lose 3.
Not a prophet. Merlin doesn't know anything. The script has been flipped on him here. Push continuing at the top lane. TBB just looking like they're unstoppable in this game.
All right, so Ornn has come back. He does not have ult, but at this point, you're 3v5 in the bot lane. I don't think you can defend this in here. And the game really opens up when you lose your first inhibitor. It is much, much harder. Oh, it doesn't look like they're going to stay for it, which I think it's a mistake. I mean, even if it's 5v5, I think they're strong enough to take that inhibitor once they get the turret down. And there's no need to necessarily reset. I will say that occasionally teams don't reset after taking Baron, and they have a lot of gold in their pocket, and it's a mistake because the other team can respawn. But I feel like in this moment, they're 10k gold ahead at this point. They really could have pushed for that inhib and put a lot more pressure. And if you don't do that, it's actually hard sometimes to work your way around that deep to kind of put pressure on an open inhib. So I kind of wish they'd stayed for it. But otherwise, it's been a super clean, good macro, and good team fighting by Black Blossom. Good, impressive game so far.
They did have about 8,000 gold in the inventory, which is a little scary considering how easily they won that fight without spending any of that. So that has been put into purchases. Dead Man's Plate for Sir Donald Trump. I don't know if this is a very standard item on Mordekaiser, but it seems good to me. Most of the damage is physical coming at him, so it makes a lot of sense in this game. Dragon up in just under a minute. They can look to push down mid, go back toward the Dragon. They essentially just have the run of the map at this point. Not in a lot of danger. It's hard to come up with ways where TGrefugees really get back into this game. You really need Sam Spuds to just go off in a fight. But right now he doesn't have any mana. He needs to go back before this next fight comes through. Not going to have enough gold for Death's Dance either, so he needs to get some more mana in his pocket, or his mana is just not going to be doing any damage. This Dragon does not seem very likely for TGR to contest.
No, it is not the Spirit Dragon Soul. So they've got one to give. Again, if they can get something else on the map at the same time, it would be good. Dead Man's Plate is an incredible item on a mage. It is not about, I mean, the tankiness helps, but it's mostly about the speed. He will be plus 60 movement speed until he autos. And if he just chooses not to auto, he will be super, super fast. And, you know, a lot of different mid laners can actually choose that item.
They are committing it to this fight. However, Sniffy just caught out once again. Flash over the wall. Lights have been turned out of the heroes. Entrance this fight going not terribly for TGR so far. Dragon did go over in favor of Black Blossom. Still picked up onto Pinna already. Krios Vale trying to keep himself safe in the backline. He is going to pick the kill onto Sniffy. He was taken out by Undertaker. Did bullet time being channeled. Going to get interrupted by the Taunt on the backside of this fight. But PvP is just starting to roll in this one. Sir Donald Trump doing so much damage. They're up 4 for 1 so far. They've only lost the support. That's all they're going to lose. It's 5-4-1. The ace coming through for TBB. They pick up their third Ocean Dragon of the game as well, and they're going to look to push down the mid lane.
Absolutely. They got minions in the top lane. They're probably just going to take the top inhibitor based on the minions. You know, that was a really funny fight. It actually started off pretty well for TGR. Good TP by Mordekaiser just to make sure you get that inhib. But it started off well. They got a huge wombo combo at Tribrush with the Galio ult, and they were able to get that first kill onto the support. But then the team split up, and Ez and Galio flashed into the Dragon Pit to chase Gangplank, while Nocturne and Ornn got eaten at the Tribrush with Nautilus. So, I wish they'd just kind of stay together and taken the fight front to back from that point. If you can get the Misfortune ult out without dying, I think you can probably maybe take that fight full 5v4, and that's probably your best hope.
Not a lot of hopes remaining at this point. The third inhibitor is going to fall at the same time. So those have been cycled. That's going to be 5 minutes straight of double waves of super minions coming into the base. Very, very powerful if you take all three, and even more powerful if you take all three at the same time. There's just so long for those super minions. 10 waves of 2 super minions each. That's a lot of creeps coming to the base. It have to be clear. This Baron should be uncontestable. This next Dragon even should be uncontestable. Those creeps are still going to be flooding into the base. I know there's a lot of teleports on the side of TGR, but it's just, Galio and Ornn barely clear fast enough to even keep double waves out of their base at all times. I would say they probably even don't clear fast enough. So something to watch out for as we go toward the next fight, but I think TBB has this game unlocked at this point.
I agree. I mean, the triple inhib is almost impossible to come back for. Your only hope is that you can defend with waves long enough for them to respawn without an objective coming up on the map that just ends the game single-handedly. So Ocean Soul is 3 minutes away and Baron is 1.5 minutes, so there is a little bit of time before objectives come up that are going to break the game wide open. Quite frankly, if I was Black Blossom, I would just push in 1-3-1, just kind of get those super minions deep into the base, and then just exploit the fact that you've got a 11-1-6 3-item Mordekaiser that can just death roam anybody on the opposing team. He is unstoppable at this point, and finish the game.
Will UI going to be in all sorts of trouble here, as well as Sushi trying to go in to save his teammate. Cannon Barrage has been used out. Will UI now in the death realm. I think it is going to spell his doom. Uses a stopwatch to buy a little bit of time. TGrefugees trying to fight back. There's so many minions on the Nexus towers and in the base already. A huge bullet time coming across the back. The lights turned out, but it doesn't make any difference. They can see in the dark at this point. Team Black Blossom are going for the Nexus. They're trying to pick up a couple of more kills as well. And it looked a little shaky at times in this game, but they end the game with a 15,000 gold lead. They're on to the Nexus. They go 1-0 up in this series over TGrefugees.
Very nice game. I feel like the TGR bot lane is their strength, and though they got ahead early, look at that Misfortune. 11-11, a lot of effective ults kind of coming across the team. And the Thresh, if I had to MVP someone on Black Blossom, that Thresh just pulled people out of a mix of fights, under turrets, in between minions, all game long. 0-3-20, you couldn't ask for more than that Thresh provided as a support. Looking forward, if you were going to tweak anything, not a huge fan of the GP mid. Don't feel like it got a lot done against the Galio, who does have some weak matchups, particularly like a Kiana or a Zed or a Talon. If you wanted to go AP, instead of picking someone scaling, you could go with someone with a little bit more kill pressure. On the side of a TGR, I feel like they got to do some different bans. That Mordekaiser was super scary, and if you don't have an answer for it, you've got to axe it before the game starts. What do you think, Carl?
I do agree. I think the Galio pick just a little bit low damage, and it was a comp that was so reliant on Sam Spud's Piano Man late game on the Nocturne isn't going to get a whole lot done. He's just a champion that falls off. You're trying to go in against 6 items. Krios Veil is going to survive every time. He has enough peel from his teammates to keep himself alive. The death round coming through as well for Mordekaiser. If the Nocturne really gets out of hand, you can just kind of keep him in there for a while. So I think you want to go for it seemed like a scaling comp, I should say, but then you had Piano Man who just kind of got ahead, but then wasn't able to transition it later on in the game. It just didn't seem very cohesive to me. I think, something like a Sejuani or an Olaf in the jungle, if you want early game that still transitions a little bit better into the late game, could work out a little bit better for them. I didn't mind the Galio in the mid lane. The death level 3 was just really problematic for him. He kind of got behind, and at that point it was just lights out for him, the mid lane, against iTunes, who played very well in the gangplank, didn't have the greatest scoreline, but had a lot of lane pressure, really opened up the map with the cannon barrages as well. So I think a very nice game by Team Black Blossom. They did show some cracks though, so I don't think TGrefugees is just completely up a creek without a paddle. But I think they are, up against a very strong team, obviously.
I agree. I wonder about the Ornn. I don't know what else Will UI has in his pocket, but certainly going for like an uber late game scaling when they kind of fall behind in the mid game, I don't know if that's going to work. So it's possible that he could pick up a duelist or a splitter or something different in the next game. He did well in lane, and I think even well in the team fights, despite the 0-5-4 scoreline. I felt like he had impact. There are certainly some games where a top laner or a mid laner gets behind and then is really like unable to affect the game in any way. But I just hope that they come out with a different look after draft.
Yeah, absolutely. Do hope the same for them. We're going to check out that draft after our short break as we get ready for game number 2. We will be back in just a couple of minutes. Stick with us. We'll be back with game number 2 between Team Black Blossom and TGrefugees in just a few. Welcome back to game number 2 in Style Esports Season 3 playoffs. It is the Void Group Grand Finals between TGrefugees and Team Black Blossom. In a best of 5, Team Black Blossom is already ahead 1-0, so you're here for game number 2. Hopefully going to see a couple more after this one as well, but we're into the draft for game number 2. This was pro-drafted, as was game number 1, so picks might be a little bit out of order, but breaking it down for you is myself, Jarl Carl, alongside Merlin.
I am absolutely happy to see the Mordekaiser ban. In game 1, Team Black Blossom had a monstrous 11-1-6 Mordekaiser that just took apart the game. TGR was never able to deal with him. Kill after kill in team fights really picked apart the comp. So I think that was a smart adjustment from game 1 in terms of picks and bans. And so far, we've got some similar elements from the previous match. We've got a Malphite, which looks like top, Wukong jungle, Galio mid. The Galio mid last game was okay. I felt like it was doubly difficult to have great ults and to really get in there when they had a Mordekaiser. But this comp, with the Mordekaiser ban, they might be able to make more happen. It looks like he is up against a Cassiopeia, which is going to be interesting. I actually think that that's not the worst matchup for Galio. He just has to repeatedly go in on what is a immobile mage, land his abilities, get a little jungle help, but that is a lane that he can definitely survive in. Cassiopeia not super strong early, likes to build tier, so hopefully he can kind of play that aggressively, have priority, and get the lead. They do have a Yasuo top into a Malphite, which also does not seem like a super good matchup. Malphite being great against AD comps. What are your thoughts on that, Carl?
I think the Yasuo matchup is just doomed for sure. Donald Trump. Malphite does very well against attack speed. He can slow attack speed with his E. He also has to get right in his face, which is exactly what Malphite wants. So I think this matchup is pretty much over for sure. Donald Trump. I would be very surprised if he's able to win this matchup up against Malphite. I think the mid lane matchup, you mentioned that Sushi, it's a lane that he can definitely survive, and I think it's also a lane he absolutely can lose. And if Cassiopeia gets rolling, that can just kind of be lights out for the rest of the game. So gonna have to be very careful for Sushi in the mid lane. If he gets ganked a couple of times, could fall just a little bit too far behind. Cassiopeia, especially if she has phase rush plus the movement speed from her Q, can be oddly mobile, get away from his E, and if you don't get knocked up, the taunt, it might hurt a little bit, but you're not going to be taking the massive amount of damage you would be if you do get hit by that knock-up. So I think Sushi does have to be careful in the mid lane that he's not going to just go into his doom, especially if Undertaker Kid is waiting in the wings. So we're going to have to see how the vision goes in this game for both junglers. Both have very strong ganks kind of in their different ways. Zach just has a lot of range, and Piano Man has that stealth on Wukong. So could be interesting for that. Also looking in the bot lane, TBB has the same bot lane as last game, which maybe not what you want to be giving a team that just kind of popped off in this misfortune. Also, Ezreal not picked and banned is something that's also quite interesting to me.
Yeah, I also don't like the Swain ban. I mean, Swain's traditionally run as a support. Are you really scared of pin as Swain over the Thresh that just took you to pieces in lane and out of lane? I feel like the FLAOS Lulu is drafted to survive. They've got range, they can poke. Hopefully Lulu can make some good saves, but that is certainly a passive lane and not necessarily where the action's going to be. I think the junglers are interesting. Wukong, super strong on the patch, one of the big meta champions, either top or in the jungle. He's got a great cohesive kit and I think can have a lot of impact top on that squishy Yasuo. I know Yasuo is mobile, but with the slows from Malphite, if they can get a hold of him, and the dashes from Wukong, I think you can probably net a lot of kills up there. Also, the Cassiopeia, no dashes. If she's running phase rush, she will maybe be able to escape, but that's not always the easiest thing to do in the heat of the moment. I also occasionally see Conqueror Cassiopeia for the heal, so we'll check in with runes in a minute 30 once we load into the game. Also, Undertaker Kid on Zac, a full clear hyper tank with a lot of CC. I don't mind the pick. Again, they're into a Galio comp, which is kind of low magic damage. He's not really kind of dishing out consistent magic damage the way a Cassiopeia is going to. So he can fully itemize armor and just sit in the front all day long once we get to mid game. I do think he has the weaker early game. His Elastic Slingshot just doesn't really have enough range to really reach ganks effectively level 3, 4. But once he hits 8, 9 and gets a couple points in it, he will be able to reach bot side ganks with ease. and will be able to reach probably the Galio in the mid or the Malphite in the top. So I think this should be a lot of action. I think top side's going to be pretty volatile. I think mid is going to be decided possibly by skill, but should also be pretty interesting. And hopefully the TGR bot lane can just stay alive against that Misfortune Thresh.
Gonna have to avoid those hooks and the Zac as well. I think I do agree with you. The top side should be very, very important, making sure these junglers are tracking each other and kind of how that interaction goes. I think could decide this game, but I think TGrefugees definitely do have chances in this game. The Malphite Wukong combo could be pretty good. Galio on top as well, so we'll have to watch out for that. In the meantime, we're gonna throw it to a break as we load it into game. We will be back with game number 2 on the Rift in just a couple of minutes. Don't go away. Welcome on to the Rift for game number 2 between Team Black Blossom and Team TGrefugees. On the blue side, Black Blossom still on the red side, so no side switcheroni coming up in this game. TBB already up 1-0 in this best of 5 series for the grand finals of the Void group. I'm going to hold the introduction right here because we are seeing a bit of an invade. I'm Yellow Carl alongside Merlin. Sniffy could be in trouble.
I don't. It's so. There are better ways to invade. I like that they invaded. They've got a hook champ, and it's a good opportunity to invade. But if you go through lane to that bot brush, and you kind of sneak in, you can actually give the support a lot less time to catch you than if you just come through the river. So there are kind of sneaky tricks to kind of optimize that invade. I don't mind the rush to the brush approach if you think that your opponent is going to be late. It's definitely very effective if you just rush to the brush and then you wait 15 seconds for a straggler to kind of get to that tri brush. Ooh, and it looks like TGR has done the appropriate counterplay, which is to go to the red
Gonna get checked though. Yeah, Sir Donald Trump having to get himself away. iTunes is here as well, but Donald Trump just gonna go for the flash over the wall. That's the safe play on that one. iTunes gonna take a little bit of damage, but ironically we'll end up with a little bit of lane priority off of that as well. Summoner down for TVB as they start off the second game.
Oh man, that's a huge deal though. Yasuo having no flash, and the fact that we have what could be a vertical jungle or at least a level 1 invade. So one of the things that's really possible is if Wukong just goes and ganks Yasuo level 2, that can be really, really effective. It looks like instead he's choosing to go back into his his topside jungle, which I'm not a huge fan of. And it looks like Zach understands the lay of the land and is vertically jungling, picking up the red buff on the blue side of the map. So kind of a fairly standard start. But look at the Yasuo. He kind of got to lane early. He was forced to push. Malphite sets up ganks reasonably well. He could easily have done 2 camps and come for a gank, or 3 camps and come for a gank from the back of Yasuo, and he would just never have seen it coming.
I'm very disappointed not to see that play. I think that would have almost certainly been a kill. Once Malphite gets to level 2, you know, like you just said, clear the top side and then go for the gank. I think pretty straightforward kill could have been had. And as it stands, Sir Donald Trump actually with a lead in this lane, up some CS. He is pushing into the turret. Will UI taking a lot of damage every time he tries to go in for a trade. Cannon not going to be secured by Sir Donald Trump, so that's a little bit unfortunate. But as it waves into the turret, Malphite should have a somewhat hard time farming this out of the tower, and I think this lane could have gone a whole lot differently if that gank had come through.
Absolutely. The Yasuo getting a lot of damage down, though, and I know that you felt this was going to be an easy win for the Malphite, but he's going to need some jungle help. He's kind of chunked down quite a bit at this point. Level 3 to level 3, and he doesn't feel like he can step up to the minion wave. On the bot side, we've got just a little bit of a CS lead for Black Blossom, but so far it's been a pretty passive, pretty safe lane. I think at this point last match, we'd already seen a couple hooks land.
Yeah, I saw some ganks early in the last game too, just a lot of shenanigans in the bot lane. I still have a decent amount of faith in Will UI in the top lane. Might have to hold that thought. Might see a gank and then an Undertaker kid going in onto Sushi. That Scuttlecrab might not be worth it if your Piano Man might have to come for the counter gank. Grab her by the Sushi, running for his life. Can he get away? And Twin Fang will be coming through. Has to burn the flash to keep himself safe. Undertaker kid taking a couple tower shots, but that's a summoner down in the mid lane.
I cannot believe Wukong did not come to help out that gank. Counter ganks are just amazingly effective. Like right now, he could even go on the Zac. Like Zac's at 300 health. Yeah, that was like superbly well set up for him to just come from the top side of the jungle and make it happen. Yes, Grabber by the Sushi was able to get out, but you're missing a golden opportunity to have an impact on the other lanes. I think they could have turned that 2v1 given how far they chased and how long it took. And how much damage they took. I think there was a real missed opportunity there to try and make it happen on that mid lane.
Another hook going to land in the bot lane. Samus Buzz gets exhausted, still has heal, still has flash, is not at the heal anymore, has to expend that one. So Summoner trade goes down in the bot lane. PBBB trading in an extra Summoner for a health advantage there in the top lane. But I do agree with you. I think Piano Man needs to just be a little more aggressive here in the early game. He seems like he's playing very passive so far. Could have helped that Sushi in the mid lane. And maybe turn that play around. Certainly could have gone on Undertaker Kid. Like you said, he was at like 300 HP. Just seems like he's, you know, a little bit hesitant, a little bit unwilling to pull the trigger.
Right. It looks like he's rotating bot for his first gank. And this, I think, is pretty good. Bot's got reasonable health. All they need to do is kind of pick that spot. I don't know if Black Blossom have sniffed it out. They don't have any wards in try. But here it goes. Let's see what they can do.
We'll see him now. Gravitum Root going to come down. Krios Veil with the Lantern to safety. Flash as well. Ignite is ticking on him. Will the Flamethrower almost took him down, but they do escape, only using that one Summoner. Piano Man's first gank does fail.
Yeah, the range was really rough, but he ended up getting in quite well.
In the mid lane, Sushi went in once again. Not an ideal fight. iTunes very low though. Doesn't have the mana to continue this, so it is going to just kind of fizzle out. Could have gotten taken down though. Once iTunes has some more mana, these ganks could really start to pick up kills onto this Galio.
Yeah, I think Galio's doing pretty well into it though. I mean, he's laying down a lot of damage, and it's difficult for Cass to follow up. TGR is also picking up first Drake off the priority they got from the failed gank, which at least got them to push out the Black Blossom bot lane. So that at least is something, but I think they've got to help that Galio get some kills. Like, one of the things you really want to consider when you're a jungler is how much CC your laners provide to help you with ganks. And Galio has shown that he can land his knockup against this Cassiopeia, and he can kind of sit in there and deal some damage. And if Wukong follows up, that Cassiopeia will not survive. She is 6, so she's got her ult, which can be a game-changing ult. If you're careful and you turn around at the right moment to avoid the stun, you can survive it, but you do have to have reasonable mechanics on that. But yeah, I want them to gank that Cassiopeia. She is immobile, she doesn't have a dash, and right now she's got a deep ward, but she's, I think, still pretty vulnerable.
top lane, also a viable gank target, I do feel, with that unstoppable force onto Sir Donald Trump. Not a lot of counterplay to just a point blank unstoppable force. If you don't see the jungler coming, there's no chance you are going to flash it. That's pretty reliable CC as well. Could just have kind of a knock-up train in the top lane against this Yasuo. But I think either target would be good. I do want to see Piano Man go for a gank pretty much as soon as he is level 6. Has that Cyclone available. Can really go for a wombo combo in one of these lanes, because right now iTunes has a pretty free lane. He's stacking up that tier of the goddess. Sir Donald Trump working toward his items as well, and eventually he will win this lane. Once he gets 3 or 4 items, he should just be able to take Will UI apart. So not going as well as I would have expected. We'll see if a little bit more armor can make all the difference for Will UI in that top lane. But for now, Sir Donald Trump just kind of pushing it in, although not a lot of kill threat onto this Malphite. They're just kind of trading farm at this point.
Yep, it's not the worst lane for the Malphite, but I agree. You gotta do something. He's 6 now, 0-0-0. I feel like Wukong has a much better early game than Zach, but they're just, going for like a free farm game, and that should not be the plan. I will say TGR's got nice ward coverages, 3 pink wards in the river and dragon, so I think they're maybe gonna try and set up a gank or set up an ult use there. But it's not as easy as it is with Nocturne to get in with Wukong and kind of lay down the damage. Also, compounding the fact is that they've got heavy push in the bot lane. Always more difficult to gank a lane that's not exposed, that's not out too far. So we'll see where things rotate. But at this point, I think Zach is just farming and kind of looking to pick up where the Wukong is to counter him.
TVB probably at this point very content with their lane situation. They're winning in farm in all 3 lanes, by a healthy margin too in each lane. It's not one of those, up a couple of CS. They're up a good couple of waves in the mid lane and the bot lane, up more than that in the top lane, up almost 25 farm. Undertaker could be in a bit of trouble here. I don't think he's going to fight for that much longer. Able to get himself out, dodges the Q from the sniper rifle of Sam Spuds and walks away. He does have to give up that Scuttle Crab, but he's going to be okay. He is now level 6. Has access to that ultimate, as does everybody else except for Sniffy down in the bot lane. So we're into this ultimate stage of the game. These fights can be a little bit more explosive. Pinna actually might be looking for it. As I say that, walking into this play, gonna go down likely. Wukong is here though. Pinna just gonna get taken apart on this one. Galio ultimate, there's the bullet time though. Can they get a kill onto Sniffy? No, they can't. Pinna very low, gets taken out. 4 first blood teleport has come through. Sir Donald Trump's in this fight, but does he want it? Xprios Vale actually gets the kill at the side of that one, dying to the turret. A flash from Sir Donald Trump. I don't think that's what he wanted. He is likely going to go down to the minions. One more auto is going to take him out. Piano Man has picked up that kill. 2 for 1 in the bot lane in favor of TGR.
2 for 1, and Misfortune escapes with just a sliver of health. It also gives priority to TGR. Galio making his way back up to the mid, but this is going to be some good farm for the Ophelia. It's going to catch up that 17 CS deficit that he had with this next wave. It looks like there's a little action.
Oh, taking a lot of damage. He's just going to die, get smited down. That's a lot of damage for Zach this early in the game.
It really is. I mean, he's got Stalker's Blade and Bombing Cinder, but I think that's just on Malphite for just staying too long, not having bot. I mean, he used his ult at the absolute last minute, and that unstoppable force and flash. I feel like you got to get out. Yeah, I understand. You want to plate. You want to get some damage on the tower, but it's just so much more important to reset and not die. And unfortunately, Malphite was unable to do either of those. Despite the fact that Malphite died, because they had mid priority, they're going to go for Herald. If Black Blossom sniff this out, I think we're going to see a fight. I do not think they want to give this up for free. They do get a ward over the wall. Nice job, Zach. Let's see how it goes.
Straight away. There's the engage going on to the Gargoyle. Sushi taken very low. Going to be taken out of this one. iTunes. There's that damage I was talking about earlier coming through for this Casio. Via TVB saying, thank you so much for the leash. We'll take this Herald and we'll take the kill on our way out.
When your top laner dies, that's an odd time to go for Herald, but they did rotate the Lulu up. So it was a 3v3 fight, and I think if you're going to make the play that they tried to make, you have to make it all the way. You have to support. Get that Wukong in. He's still got his ult. It goes unused. But you have to fight all the way. I feel like they gave up a kill and Herald, which is a lot of gold. The kill and the plates that they're going to get off that Herald, and the priority on the Drake, although here's the TP in.
They're looking to go in. Can this Dragon get burned down? It will get picked up by TPB, but they are likely going to lose their jungler in the process. Trading back to Piano Man, that he has fallen past him. Zach has been popped. Bullet time across the back, doing so much damage on the Sam Spud. He's almost taken out. He survived on a sliver. Krios Vale flashing in Wild Growth onto him as well. Can Sam Spuds do the damage? The answer is no on that one. Krios Vale has picked up that kill. iTunes, a bit of fruit to keep himself alive. Get those vegetables and fruits in your diet, everybody. Very important. Next time you're going to get hooked. He is going down regardless of his diet. He's in the death realm. Doesn't matter anymore. TBB fighting back on this one.
Excellent hook, just starting again. We got a 3-0 misfortune. They were able to pick up the Drake. I kind of like the Wukong stealthing in and attempting to steal. He was unable to smite it out, but I feel like that is a legit chance. Your stealth, it's not easy to figure out that you're going in or get the timing right. He just wasn't able to quite execute on it, but I don't mind the attempt. But yeah, this misfortune just stood in the back line and ulted, and Galio had been hooked at the exact most unfortunate time possible. And Sam Spuds, I think correctly, just stood back and took down the Zac, because that was all he could really get. But they need to structure these team fights better. You've got to be aware of the misfortune ult. You've got to know what you can get and what you can't, because otherwise you're just going to kind of fall farther and farther behind like last game. At this point, it's a 3K gold lead. It's not insurmountable. They do have a nice team comp, but you've got to play smart. You've got to play around that team, that global ult team fight.
So far this game proceeding very, very similar to game number 1. You know, that early dragon went over in favor of TGR. They won a couple of, ganks. They got a couple of kills in the bot lane. Looked kind of good, and then suddenly there's another dragon fight, and they just kind of fall apart. Gang in the top lane. Will UI uses Unstoppable Force straight away onto Undertaker Kid. Let's Bounce is available if they want to get the knock up. There is Last Breath coming through. Will UI very low. The flash gonna get himself out to safety. Sir Donald Trump gonna fall as well. It's disaster in the top lane. TBB, that dive goes horribly wrong. They lose 2 kills.
They do lose 2 kills, and it was.
They might be losing 2 kills in the bot lane too. Merlin, the shutdown comes through onto Krios Veil. Pinna soon to follow as well. He's going down. It's just a disaster across the map for TBB. They're falling apart.
Fantastic play. We see Wukong using his ult. Oh my goodness. And it results in 2 kills. That's 4 for 0. But the Will UI outplay on the top side. Holy cow. It was nicely done. In general, I think he would want to wait until he could either get 2 people with his ult or until someone had taken tower aggro. But he just made it work. He started off immediately flashing out, ulting back onto Undertaker Kid, and Undertaker Kid had just lost his passive in the dragon fight previously, so he was vulnerable. And the Galio ult came in just in time to pinch the Yasuo as the last minions were dying, which meant he took aggro. Really nice macro global movements by TGR, and in the previous games that I've cast, that was really a strength of theirs. So I'm glad that they are able to kind of bring it out and put it together in that minute.
Communication definitely on point for this team, right? That's something you do need for that one. We're going to see a re-engage in mid lane counter gank. Essentially coming through. Sam Squad's walking very far forward, though. He's hit by the Petrifying Gaze, taking so much damage. One more E could be enough. He's going to burn down to the poison anyway. Sam Spuds just walking in, gets petrified, gets killed.
Yeah, not using your range advantage there. I mean, I don't know how close you need to get to auto somebody, but it was definitely not that close. They've got Herald dropped mid. I don't know how much damage this is going to do, though.
Should kill the turret. I think does not actually kill the turret. Almost. A breath of fresh air. Could take that tower down. It's at 40 HP.
Right.
Pretty unlucky Herald usage there. Not able to capitalize on that kill, at least for now.
All right, but good macro by Black Blossoms. They've got Misfortune just farming out the bot side while they know so many are grouped mid. So a lot of times in this mid game as ADC, you see people push out like a single wave and then they kind of let it slow crash out. The thing to do is definitely to crash it to turret if you can. If you know where enough people are and they give you the opportunity, you want to take that second wave. That is a big deal, gets you a lot more time on the map to kind of pursue other objectives, as well as the extra farming gold and the time your opponents have to spend clearing it, and potentially they might lose some minions. So nice job driving hard to the turret, and it looks like they're going to set up for this last outer turret on the top side.
Would rather see them set up for the dragon. Personally, I think that is a much more important objective, especially with Sir Donald Trump just taking on this tower all by himself. They have realized that now. A couple of resets have come in, purchases put in, and some pressure on this dragon being applied by Black Blossom, but iTunes walking very far forward here, gets the grounding down onto everybody else. Piano Man, though, going to use the Cyclone going in. iTunes just horribly caught out of position there. It might cost his team the dragon.
Totally worth burning your flash on Wukong to get that pick. That pick is huge. I do not like the fact that Malphite wants to go back top. He's still got his ult. Here it is.
On to Krios Veil. He is just taken out. Doesn't stand a chance. Zach going in as well, trying to get the dragon and heal it up a little bit. I don't think he's going to be able to do so. Spikes go down, not able to pick up the dragon. A valiant effort by Hint. Blue team has picked up the dragon. That is TG for Refugees, of course. And he loses his passive as well. Team Black Blossom just kind of falling apart macro-wise here.
Yeah, again, breaking the cardinal rule of fighting when you're men down. Yasuo didn't even come to that fight. And it's, I don't know why people love to go for steals, but if I am Zach in that fight, I don't even try to go into that pit for the smite fight. Best case scenario, you get the Drake, lose your life, and I just don't know that it's worth the tempo loss. Worst case scenario, which is what happened, you lose the Drake and your life, and you're 5v4 on the map, and you really give TGR more breathing room. I will say a bright spot for Black Blossom. We've got the Phantom Dancer completed on Yasuo. He's got the most farm in the game at 153, essentially a free lane despite being against a AD counter in Malphite with a Sunfire cape. He has done really, really well, and we have not really seen him join a fight. He spent that whole fight split pushing top, which I love. If your Cassiopeia gets picked mid and you're top, what you need to say to yourself is, well, we're going to give this Drake. I'm not going to join that and just drive down the side, pick up the turret. So really nice play by the Yasuo. And the thing is, we haven't seen him join a fight. And I think when we see him join the fight, people are going to realize, oh, this guy got farmed. He's got some damage. He's big. Big positioning in the river. Looks like they're going to fight over Herald.
Play to the Ruin King completed as well for Sir Donald Trump, forcing the flash out of iTunes. Is Sushi just going in, but went to re-engage Sir Donald Trump and Undertaker Kid, looking to go into this one. Cycling get a knock-up. 3 members beyond them, zoning a lot in the front. That's bullet time. We can get interrupted. A nice 5-man knock-up from the Heroes entrance. iTunes fighting on the side of this fight. This is a very messed around fight for TBB, looking to win it though. Very skirmish heavy so far. These teams are just not together. Prios feels like that bull that he carries just doing loads of damage to each other. There's the re-engage at such low HP. iTunes, can he kite out this fight? He's very low. Can he get the kills? No, he's not going to be able to. He gets shut down. It's a double kill in favor of Will You I. 5 for 3 in favor of TGRs. They might look for the Herald, but I think they're too low. Everybody has to back away.
No, you can't be too low for the Herald. Anyone can do the Herald. I wish they had taken it. That was a really, really nice fight. The Zac engage came in deep, and Wukong, oh my gosh, I think he knocked up like 11 or 12 champions over the course of that fight. Both him and his clone were picking people up, throwing them around in the air, whirling them around while everybody gets beat on by the ADC. Sam Spuds, I don't think he got a lot of kills, but he did an incredible amount of damage on the bot side to 3 champs that whole fight, and Garby the Sushi and Malphite, you know, not super mobile, but able to get the job done, able to get the kills. Goes 5 for 3, catches back up. We got an even match, 300 gold difference at this point. What we need to see now out of TGR is rotations. I really think they need to pick on the Yasuo so that they can take top tower. They need to siege in the mid, get some damage onto that. But they have a nice comp. It looks like Galio and Wukong are moving to the top side.
Donald Trump could be in all sorts of trouble here. Up against the clone. Does not want this 1v2. Gets taunted up. He's going to have to take it anyway. Piano Man has picked up the kill. I was just going to say, I think this game will come down to how well Yasuo can split push on the side in this one. And right now, not looking too good for him. He gets taken out.
That was a tough one. I mean, he had just entered the lane, and he was going to ward, ran into a pink, thought, hey, free pink, I'll clear it, and they collapsed on him instantly. The Wukong did not hesitate. He ulted right in immediately. And I believe Galio flashed in to make sure that he was in range to land the taunt. So right now, they've got Malphite in the bot, and they have their bot lane in the mid trying to push to the turret, which I don't mind, but they need objectives. And because Black Blossom was able to rotate their mid laner and their jungler to kind of force them off the top side, they're not going to get any turrets off of that, and that's really what this game is all about. And you got to clear those turrets. You gotta when you get numbers up, continue to push together. The wave clear is pretty decent with Cassiopeia and Misfortune, but if you keep getting 1s and 2s, you are not going to close this game out. Hopefully they can pick up next Drake. 30 seconds for Cloud, and it looks like both teams know this is important and they're positioning around it.
collapsing toward this objective. I want to mention down the line, 2 items completed for everybody on Team Black Blossom. Only the case for Wukong and Aphelios on the side of TGR. So watch out for those item differences in this fight. Also, no flash for either AD carry or either mid lane. It could be a big deal. This could be the dash push onto Tiananmen. There is the engage. Only a 1-man last breath. However, Galio going very low. What a great bullet time for the backline, doing so much damage. Freon Scale just ripping through them. iTunes doing the same as well. Sam Spud's now desperately trying to find a bit of solace on a disengage, but he's not going to be able to do so. X Snippy, you cannot come back into this fight. He's going to be falling as well. It's a 5-for-1 ace in favor of Team Black Blossom, fighting back in this game. They're going to be picking up the dragon, and they win the fight.
So it's a hard spot. You're fighting over dragon, and you know that the opposing team is hanging out in the fog of war, and they've got a hook champ and thresh. What do? Well, I can tell you what you don't. You don't face check it and get hooked and lose 90% of your health like the Galio did in the first 3 seconds of the fight. They had a pink ward on the dragon, and I know that it's hard to do, but nobody's starting dragon. You don't have to, there's no pressure. You don't have to do anything in that moment. And quite frankly, if the opposing team is all hanging out in the fog of war and I can just roll mid and take a turret, I am absolutely going to do that 100% of the time. Quite frankly, TGR is a pick comp at this point because they're kind of behind on gold, and they need to play it that way. That means that they're not looking for kind of 5v5s or to look into fog of war. They're looking to kind of catch people who are exposed, who are alone, who are out of position, and try and get kills. Right now, when everybody's resetting, ideal time to try and push for a turret. Maybe they can get 3 men or 4 men mid, but they're just kind of playing scared. It's just Yasuo. It's one person. He's not going to 3v1 you. Step up to the minion wave and, fight a little bit.
Fighting could always be good, of course. As Katarina says, violence solves everything. Don't take that to heart, kids out there, but could be the solution in this game. Sam Spuds in the mid lane, looking toward his 3rd item. 2nd seal item of the game. Could be quite strong once he completes that. Definitely can do a lot of damage. We saw that around that 2nd Herald fight. Just wasn't able to do so in that last one. Just got, zoned out too hard. Wasn't able to hit anybody. Just got one shot, essentially, by the entire team. Also want to point out, Magi's has been picked up by iTunes. Feeling very confident in this one. That he's going to be continuing the success that he's having so far. Looking to stack that up and do a bit more damage in the side lane now, but he does have teleport. So we might see a 1-3-1 executed by Team Black Blossom, or they might want Donald Trump to be with them, who is himself building toward that 100% crit, probably going for the IE next.
The Cassiopeia is huge. 3k gold in her pocket over the Galio. That, almost a full item, and I think the Magi's with 9 stacks right now, fully stacked Seraphs. I think she's in wonderful position to kind of carry and just kite around, deal tons of damage. At this point, they're just clearing out wards. I mean, I think baiting Baron is entirely a good strategy here.
They're just kind of hanging out. Undertaker Kid fighting with Will UI in the mid lane. That's a noodle fight if I've ever seen it. Nobody going to be going down on that one. Pinner taking some poke. Vision being traded back, but it's kind of like a Baron dance, but not quite at the Baron. Sushi walking in. Wards being exchanged again. We're just playing for Vision at this point.
Yep, I think they should just try and commit, get Malphite and Wukong to follow up. You've got some of the game-changing ults, and quite frankly, if you catch the Misfortune or the Cassiopeia, there is plenty of follow-up.
I think it's found out by that ward, going in for that ward, I should say. Sweeper going to clear that out as well. A few cheeky wards down, one in the Raptor Pit. That gets spotted, but not going to be able to be cleared, and one as well in the blue side jungle. Actually, a lot of wards in favor of Team Black Blossom on the blue side jungle of TGR. But it looks like everybody going to back away from the Baron. They say, this dance is boring. I don't like the music. I'm getting out of this one. They might just move themselves over to the dragon and look for that objective up in 1 minute and 42 seconds.
I think that's fine. We're looking at a 25-minute game. I have not seen Malphite initiation, Wukong follow-up. So far, it's almost always been Wukong initiating, which is okay. But the true power in the combo comes when Malphite gets somebody low and Wukong provides a secondary initiation. I think that Black Blossom is playing well. They're playing defensively. They're not exposing anybody. But I think the Yasuo, as like a melee champion who farms at melee, I think you get opportunities to land a Malphite ult on him. And I think they need to take it. At this point, Malphite ult's been up for like 3 or 4 minutes, hasn't been used, and it's just too important. It's just too strong. You need to be using that thing every time it's up. So right now, everybody in the game has every summoner and every ult up. You just want to try and go in hard and get a pick on one of these guys. try and translate that into an objective. But it seems like they're right now content to just get squeezed in with Drake coming up in 40.
I would tend to agree with you on that one, Merlin. Everything up for everybody in this game. Phantom Dancers completed by both AD carries. Interesting teleport into the river. Not too sure what the plan was for Sushi with that one. Maybe trying to collapse on a TBB, but they're wise to that trick. They just kind of walk out. Nice word actually spotting out the bot lane right now of TGR. Not sure if that is known or not. I would assume not. That's a very nice word that has been put down by them. So kind of a wasted teleport there by Sushi. Dragon up in 10 seconds. This could be a very explosive fight.
I don't mind late game teleports, that don't always appear to have much value. Teleport is kind of a trickier summoner to use in the late game, and here we go for this dragon fight. 4,000. Let's see how it goes. Definitely gonna fight over this.
Dragon going down. Really wide. There is the initiation. Galio combo soon to follow. TBB have to extricate themselves from this situation. Cycle coming across back, but they're not stopping the bullet time. He's doing so much damage. Creosville is just untouched. Really wide trying to find the disengaged Sam Spuds as well. Trying to get with the jackal, but it's not going to be enough. There's the elastic slingshot coming forward as well. TBB looking to clean up this fight and potentially clean up the game with it as well. X-Sniffy now desperately running away. Gonna get grounded. Gonna get found out. I do feel some more poison onto him. A couple more twin bangs. That's the ace coming through for TBB. They can look toward the Baron or toward the inhibitor. Their map is theirs. They win the fight 5-2.
That was a really pretty, almost ideal initiation by TGR. I'm not sure how much better they're going to get. That was Malphite on 2 into the backline with a Galio that I believe knocked up the full 5. I wasn't able to see exactly how the Misfortune was able to survive all that, particularly with what I assume was a Wukong follow-up. But it looked...
get hit. She was like barely out of range of all of the CC, just channeling.
Oh man. Yeah, so Sam Spuds, he was just hitting the front line and it just takes him too long. Too long to go through a Zac who, strangely enough did itemize a significant amount of MR, but he is still just able to hold with a 2-4-13 score line and plenty of gold in his pocket. The Aphelios just cannot cut him down fast enough to kind of make things work in those team fights. So here we are. We've got a 7k gold lead by Black Blossoms. They've got a really nice comp with initiation, plenty of damage with a 729 Cassiopeia and 1135 Misfortune. Keep in mind, I don't know if it'll go that long, but Cassiopeia does not get to buy shoes. Snakes have no feet. So she will eventually become a 6-item monster with the same speed as everybody else on the map. Currently sitting at 21 Magi stacks, which means she gets the bonus movement speed from that item. 10% movement speed if you have at least 10 glory. Gonna be a total monster. But also on the flip side, absolutely worth it if you can just get a pick on her to just kill the stacks.
Indeed. Do you want to take the stacks away? Also, you mentioned she'll be the same speed. She'll actually be faster. She gets 4 movement speed per level, so already sitting at plus 60 movement speed. Regular boots are plus 45. So really zooming around the map on this Cassiopeia. That's what happens when you can slither, folks. So try it out at home. You don't even need feet. I promise it'll work out well for you. I'm legally obligated to tell you not to do that. In fact, we are going to see a fight. Will you why? Having to use the ultimate, that's a huge part of their initiation gone, Merlin.
Yeah, and I don't think he needed to. He had reasonable health, and quite frankly, Misfortune just for a moment stepped under the turret. So if he had saved that and ulted her whilst he was under the turret, I know it's like a small window, but at this point in the game, you're just looking for small windows.
Sam Spot is just caught out under the tower, walking forward to try to defend. It's not going to be enough. Piano Man trying to go for the counter engage, but he is just shot down by Creosville. Will you I? No ultimate. We just saw him use it. He's going to be going down as well. That's 3 kills for 0. This has to be the end of the game. You would feel iTunes holding off the 2 in the top lane. Team Black Blossom saying, hey, thanks for the base. There's nobody here. Knocking at the front door. Nobody is home. They're just going to be taking down the inhibitor. They might look for the Nexus towers as well. Creosville picks up that inhibitor. They are moving on to the Nexus towers. It's 5 versus 2 overall. 4 versus 1 on this Nexus tower. X-Nivy saying, where's my team? Sushi coming in, but it's just likely not going to be enough. Running for the hills, trying to get a bit of solace on the fountain. Sir Donald Trump cuts him down straight away, just taking that fish raw as he likes it in the morning. Sir Donald Trump eating that one down. On to the Nexus. It's going to be Team Black Blossom. Once again, it wasn't pretty the whole time, but it was enough. Nexus blows up 2-0. Team Black Blossom over TGrefugees.
Nice game, Black Blossom. I feel like that was a better showing by TGR. They actually held even for a good portion of the game. But some of those team fights are macro movements instead of going for turrets, going for objectives or late contests. I think really held them back. I mean, it's a totally different game if you take out those two outers and you get a little bit more freedom to move and not so much pressure in on your lane. I also wish they'd maybe pull the trigger a little more frequently or a little more aggressively. I didn't call it out, but Cassiopeia was running Conqueror, and that makes her pretty slow without phase rush to get out of ganks. And I really think a kind of camp mid could have proved fruitful in that matchup. Props to Sir Donald Trump, farmed himself into relevance. And was always able to put a lot of pressure despite being counterpicked top lane by that Malphite. Bot lane, I feel like did well with the Aphelios Lulu. I feel like in some ways that's a less safe lane than the Ez that they had in the previous match, but we're able to kind of hold it together through the laning phase. Misfortune getting fed again, 12-3-8. I think you've got to take out the Misfortune. This is 2 games that she's kind of walked all over you. And there really isn't anybody else with that global ult that they can choose to have equivalent presence. Hopefully this pick draft, we can see something different from TGR, but nice games on both teams, and we've still got one more at least.
Yep, going to be at least one more, 2-0 now in favor of Team Black Blossom. And we'll see what they do manage to come up with for it the next game in the draft. It will be, backs to the wall. You have to win here, so I think we could see, a little bit more comfort picks coming out, something that, you when you need a win, you kind of fall back on what you know the best. And so I think we could see a little bit of a shake-up in the draft, just kind of saying, hey, what we're doing now isn't working. Let's just try, change it up and just go for growth.
Makes sense, makes sense. I will say, in terms of pink wards bought, we had no pink wards bought by Thresh or Yasuo last match, which
That's not ideal.
Which is incredible to me.
Not ideal. You gotta buy the vision. That's crucial.
That is crucial. So regardless of the wins and the losses, something to work on for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if they can work on it in game number 3, which we're going to be getting into the draft very shortly. But we're going to step away while we get ready for game number 3. Stick with us. We'll be back with game number 3 between TGrefugees and Team Black Blossom in just a couple of minutes. Welcome back to Style Esports Season 3 playoffs. It's the Void Group Finals between Team Black Blossom and the TGrefugees. It's a best of 5. We're in game number 3 right now. Team Black Blossom is up 2-0, so this could be the final game of the Void Group for Season 3. So you're going to want to buckle your seatbelts, get your popcorn, and get ready for this game. We're already into the draft. I'm your Carl alongside Merlin bringing you this game.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. We are in game 3. Everything is on the line right here, and I already like some of the changes that are being made. We've got a set on the top side for Team Black Blossom. Been OP for 6 months now. A different look, and I believe that's being countered by the Hecarim top by Will UI. I think a very strong, underrated champion right now. I hope he takes Ghost. New Ghost on Hecarim is ridiculous. And maybe, just maybe, they can get a snowball started on that top lane, because there have been signs of life from Will UI being able to handle that in some of these matches. They also pick an early game jungler, Lee Sin, to go with, potentially put some pressure on that top side, countered on the other side by Kayn. Much more of a scaling champ. Does have some also unusual gank pass that, if you're not prepared for, can take you by surprise with his ability to move through walls. In the mid lane, we've got Syndra, control mage, good range, and against Ahri. And strangely enough, I believe the Ahri, this was pro-drafted earlier, was actually the last pick, and I do not like that pick into Syndra. Syndra, generally speaking, has more wave clear and more reliable poke than the Ahri Q. Ahri kind of has good all-in. I mean, they both do at 6. But that one, I have concerns about. I'm just not sure TGR is really gonna kind of stomp that Syndra the way you would hope when you leave someone for last pick. Finally, we got a blitz on the bot side. Nothing like a pull champ that when your opponents take your Thresh, you counter with the blitz. Pinna's been really, really good with his champ so far. Carl, what do you think of the comp so far?
I think the comp is pretty strong for TBB. I don't know a lot about Hecarim top. The only thing I really know about it is it used to counter Aatrox top. So we'll see how he does against Set up in the top lane. I think Undertaker Kid is going to be at quite a disadvantage to Piano Man early on in the game. Like you said, Lee Sin early game, Kayn needs a little bit more time to scale. That being said, I do think that Undertaker Kid does want to be on the top side, though, hitting Hecarim, hitting Lee Sin to get that red dust to go towards Rost, right? So I think there is an advantage for TGrefugees in the top lane early on in the game. I think I'm really looking for them to be pushing this advantage in the top lane, trying to get some kills early. Undertaker Kid's going to have to come to them. If they're ready, they could try to snowball the game that way. I think that's really their key opportunity to get into this game, is to win the top side very hard, very early on in this game.
Yeah, I think topside's going to be super volatile. We've got melee champs who both deal significant damage, both kind of aggressive early games. And I agree, Kayn's going to be looking to go red. He's definitely going to look to camp top. And I hope that we see a pathing from the junglers that aggressively impacts the top lane. I don't want to see like a full clear bot side and a little peek into bot lane. No, I want them to hit 3 camps, 4 camps max, and try and get a gank going on the top side. On the bot side, I really am concerned for the Kai'Sa Thresh. He can be hooked and can survive, but Kai'Sa cannot. So hopefully they can be really sharp about those blitz hooks. They need to be kind of super careful on it. Also, we have definitely got some potential for a level 1 invade. We did see it from Black Blossom last game when they had a Thresh. And I assume they're going to go for it. Syndra, Misfortune, Blitz, decent damage. If they can get a pull on you, they will definitely get a kill. The counter to that is to stack a brush. If I'm TGR and I saw them come to bot try last time, I am probably going to stack that river brush on the bot side of mid and hope they walk into it. Because even if your opponents have a pull champ, if they get melee and face check a brush, generally the team in the brush has the advantage. So, I'm a big fan of level 1 invades. Hopefully we'll see some action here. We definitely have the kind of champs you would want to have for a level 1 invade on Black Blossom.
I would be stunned if this game started with the 5-point where nothing happened. I think with both these hook champions, probably 2 of the best invaders in the game, you have to go for something. I know it's game 3. I think Team Black Blossom is more likely to go for something just because they are ahead, although on the reverse side of that coin, TGrefugees could be saying, hey, our back's against the wall, we need to do something, let's go for this level 1 fight, let's try to get ahead early on in the game. So I think both ideas do have merit, but I think it's really comes down to, can Pinna land a hook and just pull somebody in and one-shot them really quickly, or can somebody get the pick out of a bush, right? Like you just said, if you're stacking the bush, that 5-man stack almost always wins just because of the surprise factor. You have a couple of extra seconds to hit. All your spells connect first, so look for that in the early game. We'll have to make sure we're into the game straight away so we don't miss any of that action. Should be pretty important. But overall, I think chances for both teams, though I think TGrefugees do need to get ahead early, or they could find themselves with a lot of problems. Kaisa does not have great range. If she's behind, she's a lot of trouble doing damage. The Hecarim as well. If he's going in, he has to be strong, or he just kind of goes in and dies, and it's like, what's the point on this? So TGrefugees, again, look to snowball in the top side, where I think TBB needs to just try to get their cane to Rost and then play the game out from there, play a little bit slower, and then try to take those advantages later on in the game. But we'll see how it works out for both of these teams. We're going to throw it to a break as we get into the loading screen. We'll see you in just a couple of minutes with game number 3 between Team Black Blossom and TGrefugees. Welcome on to the Rift, everybody, for game number 3. This could be the last game of the series. Team Black Blossom already up 2-0 in this series, looking to put the final nail in the coffin of TGrefugees. We're keeping this very short. We might see an invade. 2 Hook champions. I'm Jarl Carl alongside Merlin. Let's get into game number 3.
All right, we were really hoping for something, but they go into a 5-point stance. Why would you ever go into a 5-point stance when you've got Blitz on your side? Come on. All right, so let's talk about 5-point stances. There's the reason why it's 5 and not 4, like TGR is doing. So the reason why you need to cover the mid lane is because if Blitz walks through mid lane and into the brush, it is very easy to sneak up on the brush that Ari is in right now. You really just don't have a lot of time to respond, and you can definitely get within hook range and burn a flash. If everybody just walks into that mid lane and goes to that brush and invades, I think there's a very high chance you'll be able to get a kill. That's why it's important to cover that mid lane. You need to watch for people that are sneaking into that brush just on the bot side of River. But it looks like we've got a standard start. We've got Blitz not doing anything interesting with his incredible amount of level 1 power. And both junglers will start bot side, and I think are going to both look towards interfering with that top fight, which we know is going to be volatile between Will UI's Hecarim and Sir Donald Trump's set, which we have not seen yet.
I'm very disappointed, Merlin, that we saw nothing happen to level 1. We were hyping it up for half the champ select, and these teams just sit in a 4.5-point stance. Anyway, I'm sad. But we're moving on from that. These junglers are likely to collide in the top side, which I think does favor TGrefugees. We mentioned how that Lee Sin is so much stronger than his Kayn counterpart this early on in the game, although if it goes wrong, it could just be curtains for TGR at the end of this game, just because the set will get so much time to scale up off of that. So it could be very important. That I think, might even just be the game-defining play in a couple of minutes if they do meet for a 2v2 on the top side.
I think they're definitely going to meet. I mean, look, that set has already chunked Will UI incredibly, got the level 2. So at this point, Lee needs to take a 4th camp. wait for Will UI to thin the wave out and then go for something when Will UI hits level 3. One of the few benefits of getting jammed in early is that you often hit level 3 first, because when your minion wave pushes out, you often have a little bit of priority there. All right, Lee Sin just took 3 camps and he's coming around. The timing is actually really nice here. Will UI doing a good job baiting in the set.
Undertaker Kid not available. Will UI taking so much damage so quickly. Piano Man also taking a little bit of this one. Sure, Donald Trump flashing around trying to be a little bit tricksy, but he's not able to do so. First blood in favor of Lee Sin and TGrefugees. Kane slow to the play.
Oh, Kane took 4 camps. If you know that top side is going to be really volatile, you cannot take Grump. You got to just go Raptors, red, blue, and get up on the top side and counter. As it is, Set does have TP, so he's not going to lose much minions, and it looks like we're going to have some more fight.
Going in on Piano Man. This seems like a fight he is doomed to lose, although he has iTunes available. This could be the stun. Piano Man just getting burst out in the top lane. Will UI gets hit by the true damage portion of Haymaker. Undertaker Kid with a little bit of a preemptive flash in onto Sushi, trying to avoid giving away the kill from this one. The Q goes down. He might actually go down to the Ignite. That would be a disaster, but he does survive. Picks up the kill for himself, and that just went all Team Black Blossom. An interesting series of events.
Yeah, 3 for 0 on that. I don't mind the Lee Sin looking to kind of go in on the Kane. He's definitely stronger at level 3 in a pure fight, but he's got to keep an eye on the wave. Syndra was rotating first, Ari was behind, and she did flash in to try and save him, but missed the charm. And maybe if she hits that charm, it's a different story, but Lee was really getting blown up almost at the same time as Ari kind of flash charmed. Also, Set TP'd back in, and Will UI, who was low from the previous skirmishing, ended up feeding back that kill. So, you know, there are no more winning lanes on the part of TGR, and it's a good early 1K lead, 1,300 at this point for Black Blossoms.
Also, so much dust going over for Undertaker Kid. He's going to be a lot closer to his objective of that red form, I should say. Double buffs also went over to iTunes, so Black Blossom in a really good spot for the rest of the laning phase. Blue buff on their mid laner at this early stage of the game is really, really important. Like, spam the spells, red buff as well for those auto attacks. Look in the bot lane. Meanwhile, going to force a flash. Skippy just having to get out of dodge straight away on that one. Burns that summoner. Piano Man is now here, but his support is at 40%.
Yeah, it's tough to make things happen when your laners are low. It looks like he's just here probably to relieve pressure. No, they're going to go in.
Seems very forced to me on the bot lane. No mana on Sam Spuds, and it turns out it was very forced. He's not going to get anything. Snippy goes for the hook, going to get hooked in return, actually going to be paying the price. Who's ganking? Who? Krios Vale picking up the kill for Team Black Blossom. Might not be over quite yet. Piano Man to get himself out. He's going to be able to get away. But 1 kill for Team BB.
Yep, a nice play by the Blitz, watching the Thresh kind of over chase, and then the moment the Lee Sin starts to path towards the river, signifying that he's no longer interested in following up, they turn on the Thresh, knowing that they don't have the range to protect him, get the hook, get the kill, get the wave pushed, and now they're rotating for first Drake. Perfect play by Black Blossom.
I would say the most early control they've had in the series so far. We're going to see a dive in the top lane under the tower. Sir Donald Trump going very deep on this one. Oh, doesn't quite get the kill with the Haymaker. Disaster feeding the kill back to the Hector in the top lane. Dive gone wrong.
Absolutely. Still, you know, when a dive goes wrong, it's not the end of the world. You're not missing minions. You're not missing XP. Yeah, it's never great to feed a kill back, but I still feel like the set is in reasonable position coming back into this lane. A light though in the tunnel. Hopefully Will UI can convert that 1 kill and maybe start to snowball the lane, because that's really what it's going to take. One lane just has to kind of overcome the opponent, provide priority, provide pressure. And so far, Ari is down despite counterpicking 20 CS, and definitely has a worse buy with Lost Chapter picked up by Syndra and only pieces for the Ari. So we've got kind of a weaker mid lane, definitely a weaker bot lane with a BF sword picked up by Misfortune with her 10 CS lead in her kill, and Kane well on his way to red form.
Feeling so bad for Kaisa in the bot lane right now. Just the pickaxe. Doesn't even have the mana being completed. So far away from that upgraded Q. And that's really when you can start fighting on Kaisa, is that upgraded Caspian Rain. That's the point in the game where you really are stronger to take those fights. Undertaker Kid going in for just a little bit of dust you have to feel. Ward being cleared out in the bot lane, but no fight really going to happen there. The top lane once again. Might be looking for the push back on us for Donald Trump, though. Has those ninja tabbies already for both of those champions. Onslaught of Shadows has been used. Will UI trying to trade back onto this set, who does not have ultimate still. Haymaker, I believe, still available. Might not have already been used on this one, but I don't think anyone's really going to be going down here, but Will UI feeling a little bit more able to fight after picking up that one kill.
Yeah, I think fighting is right. I mean, I think that's what he wants to do. If he can, like, stay directly on top.
In. Yeah, once again, Sir Donald Trump very low. Haymaker goes out. He's just going to die on the spot. Uses the flash. I don't think it'll be enough to get back. There is the Q to try to get... Oh, he has the ultimate back up, but it's not going to be enough. Will UI finding the kill on Sir Donald Trump in the mid lane. Also, iTunes getting solo killed by that Spirit Rush. Keep it in the bot lane as well. Piano Man now going in and trying to find a bit of time with zoning. Krios Veil, there's the bullet time to try to get the damage, but it's not going to be enough. Interrupted, and he's not able to find a kill. Black Blossom leading out 3 kills. Give it over to TGR.
Yeah, I like, of all those really nice outplays. So Ari, when she hits 6 with Ignite, she is a combat summoner to Syndra's teleport. And yeah, she didn't have Lost Chapter, but you have to respect the damage she put out of 6.
In the top lane, Will UI under the tower might survive the Emerald Trespass. I do feel the one more attack should take him down. There's the shutdown. Undertaker Kid not going to survive the tower. Grabber by the Sushi, not able to get anything, but maybe a little bit of XP. A lot of red dust, though, for Undertaker Kid. Might have form off of that kill. Definitely worth it for him. Grabs the shutdown on the horse.
Yeah, nicely done, though. I mean, 1 for 1 on the dive. I feel like Hecarim's going to be pretty happy with the extra gold in his pocket. And the extra gold on the jungler, I'm not sure if it's going to be that relevant when you're going to be, I think, really, really happy if your top laner can start to snowball. So he's TPing back to lane. Ignite, I believe, is up. And I feel like he's just going to go straight in for the set.
There he is going in. No ultimate, though, for him. So I don't think he's going to be able to pick up the kill here. Should be able to force Donald Trump out of lane. Going to have to go back for the buy, but I don't think he's going to be able to pick up the kill. That's a big shield on him. Ignite is down. He might look for the tower dive. Not going to come through. Donald Trump able to escape this one. Just needs to recall and teleport back. The teleport's almost back up for him. Up in just 15 seconds. I think he just paid the extra price and go back. Undertaker Kid, however, is up in the top lane going in for this play. Let's see if they can pick up this Hecarim. Haymaker comes down for a bit of shielding. Sure, Donald Trump able to pick up the kill onto the Hecarim. Flash over the bot lane as well onto Sam Spuds. He is just getting mashed and fried up there in the bot lane, taken out.
Nice play, I believe, by the Kane. Knowing that the top lane Hecarim was going to come in with that TP, he rotated all the way up top and was prepared to gank the moment they kind of got right outside the towers. They were clearing that last wave. So I feel like that was really nicely done. And here's Lee Sin up top side.
Piano Man is here, has the kick available. That's going to be too much damage for Donald Trump to deal with. Unfortunately, Kane not able to arrive in time. So another kill traded back at the top lane. We mentioned there'd be a lot of fighting up here, and it has definitely proven to be true. Kills just going over left, right, and center.
Absolutely. So here we have an interesting spot where we've got Black Blossom trying to start Herald when they just lost their top laner. Same mistake TGR made previously. And it looks like instead of following through with it, they're actually going to pull off, which is absolutely the correct play. You do not want to get collapsed on when you're men down. Hecarim returning to top side. Comment on this bot side, 25 CS down for the Kai'Sa. Those blitz hooks, Pinna on these hook champs has been really, really solid. And now I'm not even sure if forcing him off the Thresh was the right thing to do. He's been pretty good on the blitz.
Yeah, the hooks have left a little to be desired on a couple of occasions compared to his Thresh, but still doing very well. And at this point in the lane, any hook can just mean a kill. If he grabs Spuds, even if he grabs the Thresh, it should be enough for a kill. Krios Veil does so much damage at this point. Almost has the Essence Reaver completed. Has the money for it if he goes back to base. So his Thresh and Kai'Sa lane, they're losing gracefully for now, but if they get a couple more hooks landed on them, if they die a few more times, they could find themselves just kind of perma-dying in the bot lane. They'll be too far behind to even really farm under the turret.
Right. Interestingly, Blitz and Misfortune have chosen to, or at least it looked like they were trying to freeze for a little bit. Kane also a little exposed.
Does have his form, gets charmed him. I don't think he's going to be able to make it out of this one. Able to get over the wall, actually. Ignite is ticking, though. He's going to go down next. Snippy picks up the kill onto this Kane in the top lane. Trade of ultimates. Actually, only the ultimate from Hecarim was used. Krios Veil, meanwhile, in the bot lane, Sam Spud in all sorts of trouble. Has the Killer Instinct available. Doesn't even use it, just flashes himself to save. Actually goes down. I tell a lie. I lost interest in that fight. Apparently way too early. I thought he was going to be fine. the bullet time taking him out. I think the hitbox a little bit bigger than it appeared. He seemed like he was out of it. The flash lantern as well from Xnifty, not going to be enough to keep him alive. Very unfortunate there for the bot laner of the TGR.
Yeah, it was a flash lantern, and I'm not even sure it was necessary. I think if he just lanterns from max range, it might even get there sooner than it was, given that the cast animation. But yeah, the range on the Misfortune ult, and this is the third game in a row that they let Curious Vale have Misfortune, and he does a lot of work with it. I feel like at some point you have to ask yourself if he's this competent with a different champion, because he's certainly taking it to them with Misfortune.
Dive in the top lane. Will UI, can he get away? Outplay another dive. Almost trading the kills. Both top laners go down.
Yep. I'm not even sure that was worth. But it was 1 for 1. No one lost any minions under turret. And I feel like Will UI almost outplayed it. If he just stayed on the other side of that turret, I feel like it was an auto that kind of caught him as the last damage. And here we see another gank bot with a counter gank from Lee ready.
Gonna go a little wide. Great hook out of Kriosville. Can he flash himself out of this one? Maybe channel the bullet time does not actually have that available. Like Smitty going very low. He's gonna be taken out to the red buff. You have to feel. Gonna go in. Undertaker just picking up that one kill there. He's trying to get straight to kick though. Lisa doing so much damage. Kriosville though, the flash very aggressively committing to that play, picking up the kill onto Sam. Spuds winning that fight 2 for 1.
Nice attempt at the counter gank by the Lee Sin. I am not sure who he Dragon's Raged in that fight, but I was kind of expecting kind of a whole team knockup from that play, and it just never really materialized.
Just went for the execute onto Kane, I'm pretty sure on that one, so not able to really kick anybody, just kind of killed him with it, and kind of led to them losing the fight. The mid lane Charm gonna land onto iTunes. This could be the full engage. Sushi gonna get stunned up though. It's the full engage, but it's the other way around. Oh, the nullifying orb gonna keep him alive. Sushi surviving that iTunes. Didn't think he needed to go in for one more auto. Backed off.
Yeah, I feel like the Lee Sin gank bot side, he sat at melee with 3 of their champs all in a row, and if he gets that kick, I think it really turns the fight. He can't just use that kick as an execute. He has got to keep his team alive and CC the other team and use that, you know, for more than just getting a kill. It's Lee Sin. We know he falls off. A 4-1 Lee Sin, not that valuable at 25 minutes. As another
ran over Donald Trump in the top lane with that Hecarim. Didn't even need the ignite. Won that fight. Had the ultimate level 11 versus level 10. Able to pick up the kill. But they do trade the dragon back for it. Oh, Sushi gonna get grabbed in the mid lane and just one shot eviscerated from Summoner's Rift. Blinking on that one. Kriosville picking up another kill. Really hooked in return though. By Xnifty going into this fight. Lee Sin gonna follow in as well. They're just piling onto the back line. They do pick up the kill onto Misfortune. Undertaker has arrived as well. Pinning out trying to get himself to a bit of safety. The Diamond takes one tower shot, but he's gonna be okay. Taking a huge amount of damage from the Cinder. Actually gonna get shot down. Double buffs have gone over almost as fast to get away from the hook. Xnifty gonna get outplayed on this one. He is taken out. Double kill now for iTunes, and they're gonna be focusing fire onto Sam Spuds. He can't get himself out from this one. Doesn't even have the ultimate to buy a bit more time. Sir Donald Trump picking up that one kill off the teleport into this fight, and a nice turnaround by Team Black Blossom. They win that fight 4 for 1.
good fight by Team Black Blossom. I mean, this is just a game of continuous fighting, super bloody, particularly relative to some of the other matches, the other games we've had. I will say, at this point, I really hate that Hecarim didn't take that top turret. He did not join the fight, and he opted to go and take the Scuttle Crab instead of applying pressure to the turret, and that is not his job. He needs to take turrets. He's ahead, and I think at this point, not sure there's anyone that can match him. Maybe the Syndra, but her wave clear is going to be needed mid. But I really want him, like, this split push is going to be part of their win condition, and he has got to make sure he gets to turret and he starts putting turret damage down. TGR has swapped bot and top. It looks like both teams have, and Ari is actually kind of sneaking into a very good position without being seen. Let's see if she stays and is able to make something happen here.
Maybe get collapsed, and this is a weird play. Kriosville is just under the turret. Like we were just talking about, not maybe in the greatest of position, but should be able to get out. Oh, steps again. Interesting hook. This interaction is just not what I was expecting to see. Kriosville, a nice sidestep from the hook as well, and somehow this Misfortune survives.
Yep, and again, Hecarim does not stay bot side and kind of investigates the river for a little bit. He needs to just get that turret. They didn't know it, and of course they didn't have absolute perfect vision, but they had a 4v2 top side, and there was definitely an opportunity to take that fight. Nice charm by the Ari.
Undertaker gets somehow still alive now, is finally taken out. Showstopper comes in as well, but we're going to have a horse arriving on the scene very shortly. This fight very split up for Team Black Blossom. Sir Donald Trump going to get taken out as well. The hook not going to land on the top lane. iTunes now running away from this horse. Nice stun going to land. Unleashed power could come through. The horse going to get taken out. Will You I has fallen. He's going to be in the death chamber now for the next 35 seconds.
Yeah, I think
that fight around 2-for-1.
it was a nice turnaround, and I think the only person that Hecarim cannot go on is the Syndra. She is stronger than him at 413, 127 farm, and she's got the burst to take him out. He doesn't have any MR at this point, just bought a null magic mantle. But I really wish he'd stuck around and just gone on the Blitz and the Misfortune. Blitz has no exits. When he's kind of in all the way. Uh-oh, it looks like
iTunes soloing up the Herald. I'm not too sure about this situation. We also saw a nice hook onto Sushi by Pinna, just kind of blowing him off the map there very shortly. But Undertaker Kid has arrived on the scene, back from being dead, going to be able to maybe secure this Herald for his team. Might see a steal attempt, not going to come through. Herald now picked up for TBB off the back of that fight, which ended up as a 2-for-2 actually off that nice hook at the end. So a lot better than it looked like at the start. TBB with that Herald as well.
Right, Black Blossom only with a 4K lead at this point. Kind of, I think, closer at the almost 20-minute mark than some of the previous games. Again, Hecarim is matching the set in the bot lane, which I think is fine. It looks like Black Blossom is giving up top, but driving down mid. Maybe they can get this mid turret. It's pretty healthy, but I think that it would be worth it to try and put some pressure on somewhere. As it is, it looks like they're sending Ari to the top side. Probably just to pick up the farm after they lose the turret, though. She's not going to be able to defend. And I really hope the Hecarim just goes in on the set. He's got a 2-level advantage. He should not be farming the minions. He should be farming that champ.
In and out. Sushi almost going to get hit with the hook, but he gets himself away, dodging out from that one. But yeah, we just got to see an engage in the bot lane. Will UI was doing it all lane. He's in a different lane now, but it's the same situation. It's 1 versus 1. You're up 2 levels. You have Trinity Force as well. I mean, he's just going to win so hard at this point. A little bit disappointed not to see that engage coming through.
He was actually up 3 levels for a second. It was 13 to 10. He's just going to annihilate the set.
Now he's going back up at his team. Is there a great double stun from the Syndra? Onslaught of Shadows has to be used to get himself away. Undertaker Kid on the chase as well. Could go over the wall. Actually just goes through the wall. Still had that available. Will UI going to fall to the Umbral Trespass at the end of that. And Will UI just waiting too long to go for the engage. The team of TBB was able to arrive in time to save their top laner.
Yeah, you got to pull the trigger. If you've got vision of everybody else mid, you've got to go in and try and make it happen as fast as you can. And it's Hecarim. He's fast. He can make it happen, but you've got to go in, because that's really the main point of strength on their team. Lee's already starting to fall off. That's the 3rd Drake going down. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be a difficult climb. Kai'Sa's never going to get online with her 1 item. And being a kind of late game carry champ.
Flash hook over the wall. X-Sniffy has no hope. That Blitzcrank appears out of nowhere. Looked to see if he had Hex Slash, just decided to commit the real flash. For Pinna does not have Hex Slash, just had to pull that summoner. But they pick up the kill onto the support. Arguably not worth it using the flash hook just for the support, but they do gain some pressure. In the mid lane, they're going to be pushing down this with that level advantage.
I think getting a hook onto the support for the kill, I think, is fine. I mean, it puts you 5v4 on the map, so much pressure. I think with a lead, something like that is okay.
Little hook gonna land on his Sushi, though, gonna get blown up straight away. Bullet time across the stun target. This is a 3-man stun with the scat of the week as well. iTunes playing very well in this one. TGrefugees having the easiest game of his life, just standing in the back lane and free fight right now. Turret being tanked up by that AD carry. He's gonna have to get himself away from this one. Dropping the aggro. Mr. Donald trying to sneak a kill onto the AD carry. Sniffy now trying to get himself away as well. Very low the play, not gonna be enough to save him. Double kill now for iTunes, and it's a 5 versus 1 for the next like 20 seconds, 15 seconds on Sushi. They could even look for the end here. I don't know if they will, but they definitely might be able to try.
No, I think they definitely will give it a try. At this point, that was a clean 4 for 0. Really flexing their team fight muscles there, picking off players with the blitz, getting picks. So this is the top of the Void group, and I'm excited to see the promotion series. If they indeed are able to close this out, Black Blossom has made a case for themselves belonging in the higher division. Looks like they're taking 2 inhibs before resetting. Baron is up, and Dragon Soul... No, Baron is up in 2. Yeah, Baron is up, and Dragon Soul will be in 3.
This would be quite the reverse sweep, Merlin, to come back from this. If you were TGR, I think they'd be talking about this for a while in Style Esports. Here, that would be definitely something something excellent for them, but I don't think it's going to happen. 2 inhibitors are down. You've only got a couple of structures left. The objectives are just free for the taking for TBB. I think they just need to go for the recalls, put in a few purchases. There is some gold on the AD carry and jungle position. Come back, win one more fight around an objective or in the base, and just kind of close out the game. But yeah, very well played by TBB. They've been undefeated this season, 2-0 the last time these teams met over TGR. So dominant over this team, 4-0 so far in the season, and I think TBB definitely making a case that they do belong in the Freljord group, or even higher, like you were just saying. They could end up a little bit higher later on in this promotion relegation system, or we are going to see them fight. For the moment, that's just a lot of damage coming out from the on Will UI. Used the ultimate, just trying to buy a little bit of time, and he's not likely going to survive. He actually is able to get himself out for now, but Ronaldo Truck is running a rampant in the bot, in the backside of this fight, I should say. Piano Man has nowhere to go, pinning out. The Flash actually going to get himself out. Everybody's escaping after I want them to already be dead, but I just walk it forward as well. As this guy of the week, this could be huge. Only gets one. Can he pick up the second as well? Yes, he can. It's going to be picked up by Krios Vale, actually helping out his mid laner on this one. Everyone's dead except for the horse. This has to be the end of the game. They're on to the next towers. Undertaker Kid and Sir Donald Trump now getting onto these. It's just the Hecarim left. Will UI trying to save his team's hopes, but it just doesn't look like it's going to be happening. The first Nexus Tower is under fire. They might even be trying to go for the Fountain Dive Teleport, and that's going to be the surrender coming through. Team Black Blossom win the series 3-0 over TGrefugees and win their group, win the prize pool, and qualify for the promotion series.
Absolutely. That was a great game. It was fun to cast. Black Blossom really showing mechanical skills at mid, bot, and top. That set was running rampant in that match, like absolutely annihilating the backline. Sometimes going 2v1 versus the Arya and the ADC. So props. I feel like Black Blossom just really played a great game. I think it was great. Let's recognize the fact that TGR had some strong performances this season and earned the right to play in the finals for the division. Ended up coming up a little bit short, but they will regroup and maybe, who knows, it could be they could come back and be the top next season.
Definitely, we will see them in the next season, of course. Getting to the finals is not something that you should really be sneezing at, right? Definitely still a very good team in their own right. Team Black Blossom just looked very, very dominant this entire season, and I think they'll, I would put them as favorites probably to win their promotion game. They'll be facing Disastrous Gang in that one, so I think the favorites to win that, promote up to the Freljord, and exciting to see what they'll do if they are able to make it up into that group for next season against just some better competition.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, guys, for listening. Do we have an interview coming up?
I think we do have an interview. We're going to get Krios Vale in here. I don't know if he knows he's about to move, so I should probably tell someone on his team before I just move him. So give me 1 second here. Let me just tell his teammate. Krios is moving.
As I check the vision score, Thresh bought 4 control wards. Oh, that's the other team. So no, we have let's see, Blitzcrank with a grand total of 0 control wards bought for the second consecutive game. I wonder if he knows where they are in the shop. Someone should try and teach him.
But we've heard the noise. Thank you for the little control word fill on that one, Merlin. But Krios Vale has entered the Discord server. Congratulations on the win, sir. How you feeling?
Thanks. I'm feeling pretty good. A few good wins. 3 times the same ADC. I don't know why they didn't ban it.
We were wondering the same thing.
That was surprising.
Yeah, I think everybody was kind of surprised by that. They essentially let you have the same bot lane all 3 games. Is this kind of just your comfort bot lane? You felt it was good against this particular team. It seemed like you guys had a lot of priority on the Misfortune and essentially Misfortune Thresh kind of substituting the Blitzcrank in that last game. Do you feel like Misfortunes were just really strong in the meta right now, maybe strong against this team in this ELO? What are your thoughts?
I feel like with PTA, I can pretty much punish any misstep on any ADC at all times. So auto, Q, auto, PTA, 200 damage within like half a second. And not many people know how to play against it, at least in this bracket. So if they don't ban it, I just win lane off of those early trades. They miss CS, and there it goes. All downhill from there.
That's essentially what happened in these games. You just popping off in all the games, staying very safe in the bot lane. I do have one more AD carry question before I kick it over to Merlin for some more less minute questions. But how do you feel about the Kai'Sa right now? We've seen it kind of picked up throughout the playoffs here in Style Esports a couple times. Hasn't had a lot of success. It received a couple of buffs recently. Do you feel like it's essentially just trolling to pick up this champion, or do you feel like she actually has a place in the meta right now?
That's pretty interesting because I just started maining or trying to play Kaisa for like 20 games or so, and I feel like it's just the build order because you always need Manamune, and if you don't get a quick Manamune, you don't get it stacked for at least 25 minutes into the game, and that is kind of your core damage with your Q combo, unless you go like full crit and you just go Storm Razor instead of Manamune first, but then you're not scaling as hard in the late game. So I just feel like the early game is so difficult unless it's a farm fest where you just get to farm all game. I feel like the mana immune just falls off so quickly compared to Edge and Essence Reaver on IMF.
Makes
Definitely.
sense.
Yeah, makes sense. Merlin, over to you.
Oh, I just want to congratulate you. Those were fantastic games, and you came out of lane strong, and on a champion like Misfortune, you just never look back. So I will say, I really loved watching the ult positioning. You were able to get like full casts off, and some of the games it was not easy. You were up against a Wukong, knockups, Galio, but the positioning was good. So if you could talk for a moment, because I think this is one of the most important things for ADCs or Misfortune players, is what do you think about when you position your ult kind of in those mid-game team fights?
I'd say just don't waste it on the front line. If you can, just keep it as long as possible. And what really helped me is avoid the knockups if you can. But I mostly use it as zoning. So when their team was engaging in, let's say, the second game with Aphelios, Aphelios was trying to get some damage off onto our front line, but I just slowed them with my E and R combo, so either they step in it and just take full damage, or they back off and then we just win the team fight because we already killed the backline before their front line could do any damage. But yeah, avoid all knockups or CC, so I want to thank Cassiopeia in that game, iTunes, for saving me a few times from being knocked up with her slows or roots or her R.
The grounding is definitely nice on the Cassiopeia.
That was very useful, yeah.
Last question. I felt like Pinna had a fantastic game. How long have you guys been duo in the bot? And I feel like he really threaded some of those thresh hooks. What do you think about his games with you and you guys as a pair bot lane?
Honestly, Pinna's the best support I've ever had. We only started playing this season in this bracket. So yeah, he's just godly. He hits all of that stuff. He's always on point. If he tries to engage, it doesn't work. That's okay. If it does, which it does like 90% of the times, we just get an easy kill. So yeah, just
Yeah, I felt
serving
like
me
you guys were
kill control
definitely on
matters.
the same page. It was really a fun bot lane to watch. You guys did great.
I think what helps most is I like to play really aggressive if possible, and Pinna plays mostly those kind of supports, so it just works nicely.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for answering my questions. Great game, Curious.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much to Kriosvale for the interview, and congratulations again to Team Black Blossom on the win, going 3-0 over the TGrefugees. We will see them in action against Disastrous Gang in their relegation promotion match between Freljord and the Void groups, which we will see next week. Those matches will be coming your way next week. We already have 2 of them scheduled. Monday, we have Glacial Nebula versus Royal Griffin Majesty at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And on Tuesday, we have an 8 o'clock Eastern game between Gomi Clash Gang and Red Lotus in the grand finals of the Piltover group. So be sure to check those games out. We also will have more games scheduled relatively shortly, so we'll be sure to let you know about them. You can learn more about our schedule at our Discord, which can be found below the stream. There's a link to it there. Also, our website, YouTube, and music credits can be found there as well if you want to check us out. I'm also going to link our new Twitter. We have just founded our Twitter page. That's now been linked in the chat of the stream, so if you want to check that out, I will be posting there for us, or anybody else will. It's a community-run Twitter here at Style Esports. Everybody posting on that one. New Twitter smell, as Axeman87 is saying. So updates will be there when we do go live for the stream. So if you want, kind of a less chaotic environment, just follow us on Twitter. For that one, you don't have to wade into the Discord where we just ping everybody all the time for any kind of reason, but you can check us out here as well if you want to chat with the casters and find out more about each individual teams and players. We're always happy to chat. But with that being said, that's going to do it for our broadcast tonight. On behalf of myself, my colorcaster Merlin, and our gracious host Axeman87, making sure we stay on track. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Good night.
Thanks for listening, guys.